Warning, this podcast has some swears in it.
I'd rate it PG-13 at most, but let's just be on the safe side and say viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, it's like
it's one of those decks that I have now a trouble upgrading every time because there's just too many options.
There's too many options and not enough slots, and
yeah, it's so I've kind of like now cherry pick every time. Like it has to be really good or add a new level to it for it to get added. It can't just be like, oh, this will be fun or shenanigans. No, it's got to be like, no, how are we advancing the plan now? Like, we can't dirtle all the time here. We gotta murder somebody. Keep the game state going.
Well, I think we know what your course of action is then.
Play
You have to build the deck again.
no. Okay, yeah. Hold on. It's completely...
You need 2 decks.
That's fair, like Cole does with
Bloodrick, exactly.
Bloodrick, yeah.
I haven't. You know what? I'm going out tonight. I'll bring the backlog version with me.
Let's fucking go. Bloodrick backlog.
I do like the tangent that I made of like we said at the same time, but I said play Infect when it's like
that's making the episode. That's gonna be the cold open. It's like, well, you know what you need to do? Yeah, make another deck. Play Infect. No.
Well, hang on now.
Time to raise your blades, heroes.
And check some vibes.
It's the Heroes Blade Vibe Check. I've always liked the fucking Mario and Luigi series. Those guys are extremely cool and good. I really liked the, basically what this is my love of Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door. And they kept up that gameplay style, but only through the Mario and Luigi series of games after that. Mm-hmm. And so if you want the, Mario as an RPG with the, active time, button inputs that you can do to improve your menu selections in combat, then that's where you have to go to play that. So I'm always a big fan of that series, and they just recently put out Brothership, and it's more of the same cool stuff. So yeah, I've been playing that, been having a lot of fun with it. I really like the new take on how you do your active battle inputs. It makes almost every one of them into a sort of the combination brothers attacks that you would do in the previous games. Mm-hmm. So they're just innovating on that formula kind of, and that's been interesting. And there's this brand new Luigi logic bullshit that they've pulled up, and I'm just, it's charming.
So I don't know what that means at all. But
sometimes you'll walk past a thing and it's just glowing in a certain way, and then Luigi's got a thought bubble over him, so you're supposed to press the button to listen to what he's got to say about that, and he'll just be like, I should do something here. And then he just takes a wild leap in logic and solves whatever puzzle that is.
Okay, I mean, it is the year of Luigi or whatever.
Yeah, it's the year of Luigi again.
Underrated.
But it's the year of Luigi for the 3rd year in a row.
How long has it been actually?
I have no idea. It's been the year of
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Coming up on 10 years of that?
It's been about 9 years since they started that campaign with the Wii U. So yeah, we've been a full decade of Luigi, and we're loving it all.
I was just laughing because I'm it's been the year.
Oh no, 2013 to 2014. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm dying.
Oh, we're crumbling.
Not the cruel march of time.
My Wii U is bricked, by the way. I hate it so much.
In the club. I love that console so much. I'm one of the very few Wii U likers.
I skipped the Wii U and I bought an Xbox One because of Titanfall and Assassin's Creed.
Hang on, it's the money calling. Hello. And it's just like my Wii U gamepad that I'm
You're
holding
the
up to my
gamepad.
ears with phone.
What you are holding in your hand could be a murder object because of how fucking huge that damn screen is.
It
That
is.
shit was one of my favorite Smash controllers until I found Smash Bros. For 3DS.
Yeah, no kidding. Right?
And then you could use your 3DS as your controller. Yeah, that was
As your
great.
controller.
Yeah, now that is my all-time favorite Smash Bros. Controller is my N3DS XL.
I was showing up to my friends' meetups. Like we'd go out of our way to get together in someone's house. We'd be in his bedroom, and there'd be like 8 or 9 dudes like sitting around, and they're like, "Yo, I got my GameCube controller." I'm like, "Get that fucking shit out of here! This is
Pushing up
the
my
peak."
glasses. Can we connect my 3DS?
He's like, "My 3DS, please, thank you." And they're like, "You're bro."
What the
I'm like,
fuck is this?
I've been playing I've been playing the 3DS version for months before the Wii U version came out, so I'm sure as shit gonna be playing this fucking controller.
This is the controller that all of my muscle memory is on. I didn't spend the time in Melee. I didn't develop it there.
I didn't. I
spent it
did
all
not
on
have a
Smash for
GameCube.
3DS, and that's why I own on that controller.
And then they moved over to Switch, and I'm like, I connect my 3DS as a treat? No, okay, I'll go
I'm
fuck
so
myself.
salty that doesn't work anymore, because yeah, now I had to learn the Pro Controller, and that's my
I
the
mean,
thing
the-
that I use because it's realistic.
Okay.
But man,
Okay, no, but
Man, I
the
miss
Pro
the 3DS.
Controller's fine. It's fine because it's not. Okay, this isn't the Pro Controller. I can't remember what this one is, but like,
that's a
it's
Pro
not.
Controller.
It's not the GameCube controller. Like, that was my mentality. I'm like, I can play with this. You give me a GameCube controller, I'm gonna develop carpal tunnel or some shit at this point in my life. Like, I'm not gonna do it.
People will try and hand you a GameCube controller and they think they're being nice because they like expect you to have that muscle memory, and I'm just like, no, I'm so sorry, I suck on this.
My first proper video game console was a Game Boy Advance. Like, give me a fucking break here, you know?
My first Smash game was Brawl on the Wii, so I got used to like the sideways.
The Wii and nunchuck? Or you
Yeah!
go sideways?
Oh, I dropped the nunchuck. I only played with the Wii remote.
I did the Wii remote. It's like if you did not bring a controller with you and you're that friend at the party, you didn't bring the controller, they would just turn the Wii remote sideways. Like, here you go. It's just like now you get the little Wii, the Switch Joy-Con. It's like,
And
here
then-
you go, but
like,
but
here you
then
go.
I
I'm
got.
like, thank you for giving me my sword.
And then later, I would get a Wii Pro controller. I actually got the GoldenEye one that came in the kit to the Golden controller, so I got used to that. So that was my proper Smash controller for like till the end of the Wii era.
Damn. Damn, that stuff was so long ago. We are old now.
That was middle school. For
By
me.
the way,
Okay, but
But-
Your Honor, it was fucking peak.
yes,
It
it
was.
was. By the way, because we haven't actually done proper introductions yet, now that we're properly in the swing of things,
Yeah.
we have John joining us this episode. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm not hungover. I didn't really drink too much because it's like, I just had food, spent time with the family. We did crack open a thing of moonshine and pass it around the living room.
Fuck
but,
yeah, let's go.
yeah, because that's
dude.
our thing. We have moonshiners in the family, so like, here you go.
I love drinking
I love
gasoline,
that for
man.
you.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like it was apple pie moonshine, so
Ooh.
that was lit. So we just watched Christmas movies with the family and passed around the moonshine and had some ice cream cake. That was after dinner with the rest of the family. So then a bunch of us just went to my aunt's place, you know. So it was a fun day, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
I bought a mana vault for Urabrask yesterday as his birthday treat because Cole said I need to
Nice.
go more faster in mono red.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Now tell me about this Urabrask. Which one?
OG.
Oh hell yeah, dude! A man of taste.
the hidden, man.
The
that's-
hidden, and I'm using the art that makes Urabrask look like a Zoid because it's cool.
Yeah.
That one is so cool.
Yeah.
It's real. The treatments are awesome. I'm glad that they did them for all like the old ones, but I was like, no, give me that Urabrask because I will be one of the few Urabrask appreciators. And sure enough, like in the middle of the internet, you'll just be like passing through the night, and you're like, Urabrask, and they're like, Urabrask, you're like, yeah.
Well,
Listen, I love me Urabrask one. That guy, I played in a lot of red decks. He really just gets in the way of your opponents and makes sure that you can get in there. And that's all I'm asking for. I need to be able to deal combat damage.
Urabrask is my favorite hate bear. Not gonna lie.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
When you get one part of blind obedience for creatures.
Yeah, and then
like,
you get to go
on half.
zooms. You get the zoomies as well.
I love throwing down 5-mana 5/5 dragons and give them haste circumstantially and turn them sideways.
Especially like that new Dragonhawk that you gotta get on board with.
Oh man, I love that card. I love that so much.
Working title for this episode, Dragonhawk Saves Christmas.
Wow,
Hey, thanks, Dragonhawk.
I mean, it's red, so it's got a red nose.
Get fucking Dragonhawked.
It's so fucking what a card. I need a copy. So because I was telling Quinn last night, I'm like, John sent me a photo of Dragonhawk and I'm jealous now, so I gotta go try to get one.
I literally cracked it in a pack that I bought at the LGS yesterday. So it's like,
it's a sign. It's a sign, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
So I threw it in Urabrask. Just a regular version.
Standard printing.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's still cool though.
Yeah, I do want the alt art one, I guess, if I'm gonna get one copy, it's gonna be the alt art one, but
yeah, I think my
I do
LGS
like
is
the,
trying to buy the alt art.
document look of it.
Yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff. They did a lot of cool stuff this year. And I guess just to preface everything, because hey, we're in the upkeep, so let's figure some stuff out here. Obviously, hey, guest episode, we're gonna be chatting with John for the next couple plus hours and see if this will once again be a longer episode. Will this be the longest episode?
For the next unspecified unit of time.
The Lord of the Rings uncut version of the episode.
Oh, geez, the extended edition. We got some questions for John. We got some topics. It is the end of the year, so hey everyone, happy holidays. Hope everything's doing well for you and your family. And we're gonna be New Year episode will come out, and we could probably do some like retroactive like, hey Cole, what does your spreadsheet look like? This fucking spreadsheet sucks. That's what I'll tell you. I'm waiting until the end of the year to get my Moxfield list of the commanders I've seen in the year, and get that all properly summarized, because thankfully, even though I've had a handful of games this month, like I think I'm about 12 or 13 games, maybe little low, that number's going to bump up tonight, and then I think even the last little bit I've seen a few new commanders that I hadn't seen throughout the whole year yet. So I'm thinking maybe we might get over 500 unique commanders this year, which still feels like, still doesn't feel like a lot, but is a lot in the grand scheme of things. So we'll see that next episode. We still need to go through the rest of the year here. So instead, so what we're doing is we're going to do some retroactive stuff this year, take a look at the things that have come out, things that we like, things we didn't like, on top of our usual vibe checks and all that other stuff, and we'll see where the discussions take us. The other thing before we properly get started, to anyone who knows or anyone remembers my buddy Fitz, who was on here a few episodes ago, this year's been a shitter for him, and he needs a bit of help. So what we're doing is a bunch of us got together and we're doing a GoFundMe for Fitz. He had to take all of his paid time off this year for his personal cancer scare, which thankfully nothing major was going on there, but his mom unfortunately also passed away as he was trying to take care of her and get some stuff arranged. So he's off the next couple weeks for the holidays. His work's not paying him because they're a bunch of shysters, so we're hoping to help him out. The GoFundMe goal link will be available, and it's available right now. The goal is 1,500 Canadian, which is like chump change for American currency. So we're hoping to see if we can get some American friends support here to throw cash Fitz's way. More details to come regarding the streams, the charity streams that will be coming on January 4th and 5th. Quinn and I will be over on MTG Lexicon Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the 4th, where we're just going to keep chaining guests and people throughout the day. There's going to be raffle prizes. If you donate, you'll be able to show your receipt or proof of your donation. There'll be specific people. I currently got Davey F. Jones as the person you want to send everything to. So there'll be some $50 commander decks that are being given away. There's probably going to be sealed product for some people. Unfortunately, I don't have the full details of what the full spectrum of gifts are going to be, but that'll be slowly coming out in the next little bit. Hopefully by the time this episode actually comes out and airs, we'll have more information about it. Otherwise, hit Quinn and I up on socials and we can get you directed to the right people. But we'll hopefully see you all on Twitch on the 4th and the 5th for the whole weekend. We got a bunch of people joining. Davey F. Jones, Unsummoned Skull, Light, I think, is leading something. Beth's doing, Beth, Queen of Barbers, helping out. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And if you can help out, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's bring the tone back up. Let's do some vibe checks. Quinn, I don't see a vibe check here.
I think if we're trying to vibe check 20 commanders, we have plenty.
Cool. My vibe check for this episode, Hidetsugu and Kairi. They definitely passed the check. Why did it take me so long to get on this lovely, bonkers, nutty Demir card? I took
it's like 6 mana in the command zone, and
it's 5 mana in the command zone.
It's 5?
It's 5. Yes.
What the actual fuck?
It's black, double blue, and 2.
I hate it here.
Did we? This is obviously way after the fact, but I had to take apart a bunch of decks as I had only gone up. I got just under 40, and I thought I'm safe, but then the number kept going back up, and I hit 39. I was like, fuck. So the kind of compromise I made is I took more cards, or took more decks to be put aside to be dismantled. I took Neheb the Eternal apart earlier. I got Zakama on deck to be de-sleeved. I took apart my Thrix the Sudden Storm deck, and I took apart my Ukbenbach the Great Mistake, because I was like, you know what? It's gimmicky, but I can't keep justify keeping it around. However, there are a lot of blue and black cards that are now available here, and I saw Hidetsugu and Kairi be mentioned like a couple times between like different people. I saw a stream recently where it got played, and I was like, hold on a minute, I might actually want to get in on this stuff. And yeah, that fucking deck fucking slaps. It's awesome.
Oh wow, who would have thought that card draw and free spells in the command zone would be good?
Yeah, so I'm a filthy free spell enjoyer. But you also get to bird people for the mana value. And you're just like, that seems awesome. What if I use all these clone effects? And people are like, stop that, please.
Cole, you have to chill.
So yeah, when
I smoke too tough.
I finished off an opponent. I finished off a buddy of mine the other night because I was like, I just gotta dig deep. I gotta lock the fuck in, and then I killed him. It was the 1v1. I'm like, I got this. Check this out. Deal you casually like 20-something damage in a single turn, and they're like, okay, cool. I'm like, yeah. Is it gonna go on the shelf and be dismantled immediately? No, I'm gonna sit around and see what the fuck is gonna be happening with it. But yeah. Also, hey, they're like a 5/4 with flying or whatever, so you can just smack people with a hero's blade about it.
That's solid value.
Yeah. So, John, I don't know. So this was something we talked about as we were like, we gotta do a bit. We gotta do a bit. So you have 20 commanders.
I double checked the list and I double checked through on my shelf. Yes, it's currently, if we're counting if we're counting modified precons, pre-built stuff, and non-popper stuff, there's 20 official commanders that I have.
That is quite the library.
Now, do you have the list prepared for us?
I do. I have the list on my phone. I actually wrote out everything in kind of like a general... I pre-thought about this because I know we wanted to kind of like rapid fire this. So I was like, let me get my thoughts in order so it's not just like a kind of games or one of those like pardon my interruption kind of moments of like, you got 30 seconds, quick.
No, we're not. Well, we're not doing that. We're not that crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's like we got some time. It's like, but no, there's currently 20, and I kind of like thought about each single one of like, okay, because there's only like one of them that actually has the Hero's Blade in it, and I will reveal that when we get to that part. But yeah,
shaking my head.
I'm here to. I'll talk about that when we get a chance. But first, we didn't open a can. I noticed we didn't get to open a can.
Oh yeah, bring that bad boy right into your microphone.
Let me see. All right. Oh yeah. So we got a lemonade black tea from a tea chain called Kung Fu Tea, and they're promoting the new Lord of the Rings anime movie. So this has Hera on the thing.
Okay, all right. I need to go see that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, people are having a lot of fun with it.
I heard it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, you are gonna give us the vibe checks of all of your 20 commanders with maybe some additional commentary from me and Quinn.
Will do.
But in general, we're probably just gonna nod our heads and say or nuh-uh.
Okay. All right. If you guys want to interrupt me at any point, feel free to respond. Pitch whatever you need to cast Force of Will, and I will do it, or you'll do it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so we're going to start from some of my more popular ones that I play and go down to the bottom to it. So first, we're going to talk about my pride and joy, Kara Metra. Cole knows all about her.
I'm very aware.
My precious blinged out deck that has too much money invested in it. I say yes.
I feel that.
she passes the vibe check. You know, it's sometimes you just want... I say so because you want to... Because putting up the sword on an indestructible god, yeah, and then you have there's other creatures in the deck that's gonna give Karametra some form of danger evasion and kind of like that. So yeah, no, it makes it even more threatening or a really good blocker, even more. And that's the game right there. Sometimes she's a stone wall in the deck. She doesn't attack often, but she'll block for days, and that's going to help it even more. So yeah, I'd say she passes the vibe check.
I say she doesn't. But only because of the 7 mana requirement to get her active.
Fair enough.
And if you're trying to cast... she's going to enter as an enchantment more often than not, which means she's not going to be able to pick up the Hero's Blade.
And
you'd have to be pretty heavy on creatures to ensure the appropriate devotion before she lands.
Yeah, not only that, but you're also wanting to cast other creatures afterward to get the lands. So I feel as if she doesn't, only because of the loopholes you have to do to get her active to have the Hero's Blade equip. If you're playing other legendary creatures.
This is a legendary creatures typal deck, in which case, then absolutely.
Then yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it's just like all of my favorite cards happen to be a lot of legendary creatures in green and white, and the deck is just filled to the brim with it.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then it passes.
So there's gonna be it's the deck. I would throw a Hero's Blade in there just for the lulls, just because there's gonna be some one of my many legendaries are gonna get some damage, and maybe Karametra will suit up with the blade. So yeah, that's kind of my reasoning.
All right.
Yeah. Next, Azuri Claw Progress. We were talking about this in the cold about how we love, how I love the level up mechanic.
Experience counters.
Experience counters. Yeah. I say Azuri passes.
What's the mana value of that guy?
So it's he's a 4 mana 3/3.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure. I just think it's a fact. I just think it's the fact that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna be the contrarian for this bit. Like, no, these all suck, John. What have you done? But the thing is that the +1 counter distribution, I don't know, like, I just feel like you're going too wide anyway, and obviously shoring up Azuri would be the expectation to make sure it sticks around. Sure, I don't know. I'll be like a kind of 50-50 on it. I just feel like you're doing too many other things with the goal of having like 2 power creatures come out to get the experience counters to then distribute +1 counters after the fact, where I'm like, I feel like you're too wide for it to really matter. And you just put +1 counters on like Azuri, and then you're good.
Yeah, it's like all it takes is like you have the Uzalith, some things die, you put the counters on Azuri, you equip with the sword, and you just went out on that with an Alpha Strike. So, you know. I do actually have in my notes, a lot of them are like, yeah, sure, why not? Or, yeah, kind of like mid. So there is kind of like lukewarm takes on that for each of these lists.
Yeah.
Here's one that I will definitely say. Alayla, Artful Provocateur. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Passes
Oh,
the
yeah.
check for sure, Zeus.
That you're gonna do that, because you know your flying damage, you got lifelink, and if you, depending on how you order things, you might get a fairy out of it.
Yeah, you might get a fairy out of it. Yeah,
Which, you know, free card, which that means even more card advantage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like she's got all the necessary keywords to bank off of an increase in power, and she's got flying. So like,
Listen,
yeah,
if you're a vampire Nighthawk, you can hold the Hero's Blade. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, she doesn't get boosted by her own stat buffing thing, so something needs to help her out.
the queen leading the army needs a blade.
And the fucking Mace of the Valiant in that deck.
Oh, is that the one that's like when you attack, you put +1 counters on all other attacking creatures or something?
Nah, Mace of the Valiant gets a charge counter or something like that whenever a creature you control enters the battlefield, and the equipped creature gets vigilance and +1/+1 for each of the charge counters. on it.
Okay, yeah.
I think they put it in the Tulane precon for a finisher, and then I was like, Alila can hold this way better.
I'm still shaking my head over Corvold and Layla and Tulane, like, to this day.
Unfortunately, that's not in there because it's a flyer-based deck, so, you know, there's plenty of swords in there, but that's one card that's
Coward, I see. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one, and this is definitely a flavor win. Shun Yun, the Silent Tempest. Even though it's a vehicles deck.
Yeah, dude.
Windmill Slam. Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
It's like, even though it's a vehicles deck, it still has to go in there because I still have ways to turn my artifacts into creatures just in case. So the sword can attack on itself.
You're already doubling his stats out the gate. Prowess on top of it is stupid, and then also being able to proc double strike off it. Like, again, the sequencing thing comes up, but you could do, like, oh, I cast Hero's Blade, pay the hybrid Boros twice, and get that double strike proc and a prowess trigger. Like, yeah, no, hey, Fate Reforged, call me back, please. I need you back. We're going to Tarkir again, please, WotC.
Next one.
Yeah.
Next is Sirach Dragonclaw. I'd say pass.
Yeah, I'll say yeah, sure, yeah.
Is that the Teamer Flash creatures can't be countered guy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's more of a lukewarm sure why not for me.
And that's what I have right here.
You get a 9/8 out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Sure, Jan.
It just I'm not like particularly enthusiastic about it, but yeah, he would he can hold the blade just fine.
Yeah, I have on my notes just sure, it passes. That's all I have on the notes, so sure.
Yeah.
Next, Will and Rowan Kenrith. No, they do not pass the Hero's Blade check, but they pass the Lexor vibe check.
Okay, I can get behind that
just fine, but a resounding failure for the Hero's Blade vibe check.
That's my.
We're planeswalkers. I need you to leave the room right now. Get out of here.
That's my. Is it Super Friends deck? So
yeah, I've done that too. I played quite a few of that deck when they're so. You think having, because they're both 6 mana, right? Like I know Will is 6 mana, but and you know what?
12 whole ass mana in the command zone.
Rowan never shows up. She rarely shows up to the party. If she does, she's fucking late because it's all about Will, baby. Fucking give me that -2. Give me that cost reduction. Give me all that stuff. Let's play proliferate. Like, come on, it's beautiful.
Rumor come out. Does Cole is control?
You know what? I think I got to accept the fact of who I've become. Or maybe just admit that's who I've been this entire time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mr. Frost Titan.
they pass the Luxor vibe checks, but they fail completely on the Hero's Blade.
Mhm.
Another one that fails the Hero's Blade check is Grist the Hunger. Because it's like, nah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's my dredge deck, and Grist is not there to do anything but just give me things in the grave and give me more things to sack. So no.
Yeah. That sounds like a
old-
failure to me.
Good old planeswalker that can be a creature otherwise.
Yeah. Next is Heliod, the Sun Crowned. I think we go back to the Karametric argument. It's like, not really. It's that commander's just to set up a combo piece for a win.
Yeah,
pretty much.
no. Yeah.
It just makes the combo easier if I have to end a game with Ballista and stuff like that.
Also, Heliod is not a hero, so that's a big thumbs down.
No.
I fucking hate that
Get his
guy.
ass.
No,
Fucking ripping pieces, you Phyrexian piece of shit. I still go on record that the Phyrexians using faith to Phyrexianize, like to complete gods, was like the sickest thing.
It is sick as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, what if we use their world logic against them? Okay, hold on. That's fire though. That's awesome. All right, what do we got next?
Anji Falkenrath. Not really. She's there to only like create madness effects, so not really into the attacking. I don't think I've ever attacked with her. Like, it's there just because that's a madness deck. So
I thought she had flying. She
has
does
haste
not.
So that you can tap her immediately. She's
Yep.
never seeing the combat phase. She
I
cannot
mean,
hold the blade
Well,
meaningfully.
hold on, because she has an untap clause, which means you can attack with her as a 3/5 and then do mana stuff or whatever. I don't know. Like
I guess,
But
but
how
I'm
are
not
you
black.
discarding the thing then, babes?
We're in red black. He has faithless looting. I don't know.
I don't have time for that. You want
We
me to
don't-
spend mana on my discard effects when a free one is right here in my command zone?
Jeez, such a hard
I
crowd.
have to find World Gorger Dragon, babes.
Okay, well, let's calm down here. I'm not. No wonder I didn't give this lady another second glance. I was like, she's a combo piece. I'm gonna win the game. I'm like, you're all fucking boring. Get this out of my face.
I have an actual Madness deck that plays the Madness cards because they say Madness on them, and like she's in the 99 there, and we use her to cast the spells, and she's like responsible or whatever. But it's if you're putting her in the command zone, she's usually just trying to find combo pieces.
Yeah.
that's like my vampire deck, and it's what I call the Madness Masquerade deck. Yeah, you know,
there's a lot of vampires with madness and a lot of vampires that make other vampires have madness. So like, yeah, sure.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, it works. It's whatever. Yeah, that doesn't pass. She's never attacking. But here's somebody's gonna be attacking. Karlak with Master Chef as the background.
She's a queen. She can take all my heroes' blades. Done.
Yeah, she can hold a Hero's Blade for sure.
Ship it. Done.
And the deck loves the modified mechanic in it like crazy. So yeah, it triggers turns that online for a bunch of those creatures.
Why have we never gone the modified route, Quinn? Why is we've never thought about this before?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a one-time mechanic.
Your Honor, there's a lot of Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah, it's true. There are a lot.
But yeah, Mama Karlak can hold the blade. Next is Melicet, Restless Revenant. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a flyer.
I mean, look. If we're looking at a 7 mana 4/4 with flying with built-in cost reduction for spirits, the answer for me is yes, because that means Drogskull Captain and Drogskull Reaver are also probably in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in a Geist of Saint Traft if you're feeling a little
it's in there.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. I'd say yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes on that one actually, particularly because she's a flying 4/4, then she's immediately a flying 3-hit clock, and that seems good. And you're in the archetype to tap blockers out of the way and make sure that she connects so that you can just start cutting heads off.
Yeah, you're not gonna be afraid of cracking back off that because you hope by time that if you're spending 7 whole mana to cast, you're doing something wrong.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
if you're
it-
spending
you're
7
never
mana on
spending
her,
7 mana on
where are
Millicent.
my
She's so
spirits,
cheap.
please?
you hope you have a nice little army that you can like, okay, I can alpha strike here and I'm not gonna care. I'm gonna have enough blockers and I won't feel bad. So yeah. I'll say so yeah, it was originally sure why not, but now that I'm really more thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, why not? That's gonna be good.
Sweet.
Next is Anawan the Rune Thief. Yes.
Yeah,
Anawan
he
gets
wants
the
to
whole-
be attacking.
That's the rogue one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
okay,
rogue
then
one.
yeah.
It's the Demir
Seems-
Rogue.
Sounds good to me.
Next is the 11th Doctor and Clara Oswald. Nope. Because this Hero's Blade will not allow the 11th Doctor to use his own ability on himself. So
Yeah, that
nope.
actively turns that ability off. That
Yeah.
man, ugh. Good on
no.
you for putting that deck together, but he wants so much of you.
So that deck is a little weird because I noticed a lot of creatures with low power have big toughness. So I'm just going to do like a big butts mattered deck and then use the 11th Doctor just to let them go in, swing in at unblocked kind of thing.
Okay, so it's like a high alert deck or whatever.
Yeah, kind of because Clara is being declared for green, so it's banned.
Oh,
There's
okay.
there's no walls or anything, so it's not an Arcades style deck. But I still use the suspension mechanics and stuff like that, so I still have it where I can get the bigger stuff that have bigger butts at a cheaper cost or at a good rate kind of thing. It's a real fun deck. I played it a couple times and I'm happy with it. But no,
Sweet.
neither Claire nor the Doctor passed the vibe check.
Yeah, okay.
In this case specifically, yeah. Next is Balin. Yes.
Oh yeah, easy.
That freaking cat.
No,
that
that's a
frickin'
bunny.
cat.
That's a bunny.
Oh, Balin, not Balon. Damn it.
Balin.
This
Bunny.
ca- okay,
Balin the
you know-
Haymaker.
You know what? I feel like this came up someone's like, you're talking about Balin in the last episode, and I'm like, that rabbit was never crossed my fucking lips like in the last couple episodes. They're like, no, but you mentioned the bunny, and I'm like, I was talking about the cat, the equipment cat. But anyway,
No, but we were talking about that, and
Yeah,
the
we're talking
bunnies.
about the bunny this time, and yeah. Oh yeah, we're equipping that, and we're gonna do some massive damage.
was I freaking drunk that episode? Like, what the fuck?
Man,
Sorry,
listen,
I'm
go
just
back
like
and listen to it.
After long recording sessions, you just kind of probably forget.
just gone, just out the freaking.
Yeah. Next is Asterion. Yeah, definitely.
I
I think so because Death Touch Lifelink, you give it even more power. I'd say
True.
so.
I mean, he's a 6-mana 4/4.
I would feel a lot better about my 6-mana 4/4 if it became a 6-mana 7/6.
Mhm.
Yeah,
you
no,
hit-
okay, I could get behind him. You know, give him a smaller proportioned Hero's Blade for his rogue style combat. And
Oh
then
yeah, you
do-
just give him the
The Doctor.
Doctor Who Heroes
Yeah.
Blade because that one looks like a rapier.
It
Oh,
is
true,
It is
yeah.
a rapier.
Sweet.
Yeah, the third Doctor uses a rapier and also knows Kung Fu. Yeah.
That's a
man of many talents.
Yeah.
no kidding.
So yeah, no, Asterion passed the vibe check, but you definitely for flavor use the Doctor Who printing. That definitely fits, but yeah. You gain
I
more
can get
life.
behind that.
You gain more life, and that can deal more damage in the long run.
Yeah, I'm in.
Next is definitely a pass. Saskia. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's easy. Pass.
You wanna hit people in the face, so yeah.
Yeah. Next is Varus, the Silvery Moon Ranger. I'd say sure.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is a 3-mana 3/3. So it's coming out on curve. It's got Ward 1 and Reach.
So
It's
you
a
give
little-
you give it a little bit more power so that Reach can kind of do some more damage to flyers.
I'm kind of... I always never gave this guy the time of day. Like, I looked at this card a few times, and I'm just like... You're just like... I don't know, like, I could see it. Like, it works. Like, if we're looking at it from the bare bones mechanically, give the +3/+2, you got it on curve, it's a 3/3, 3-mana 3/3, sure, okay. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, it just feels very underwhelming.
I feel like I've never read this card before in my life, but this deck probably rips. And I do feel like a creature with reach that has Ward 1 and is a 6/5 or whatever would probably be very annoying. I'm trying to fly over your guys, and you're just like, actually, I'm going to demand a very large creature. So,
Hey,
answer.
you swinging Dragonhawk over at me? How about you don't?
Yeah, and then, it's definitely an interesting deck. Because I wanted to do something interesting for Mono Green. I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with the dungeon stuff and a wolf sub-theme and stuff like that. But, Varus can pick up the blade and, protect.
Okay.
Protect the initiative. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
Next is Urabrask the Hidden.
Yep,
I say yeah.
done.
Easy peasy.
Give Urabrask the blade. It'll be good.
The true hero of Phyrexia.
Yeah.
He's got haste. They are not ready.
Yeah. Next is another partner thing. It's Silas Wren and Galanra, Collar of Wirewood. I'm gonna say yes, just because of Silas, because that deck is like a pod-based deck for artifacts and artifact creatures, so that sword will become value later, and I want to attack with Silas because I want to get stuff out of the graveyard, so yeah. It all
Yeah,
recycles
I'm
itself.
signing off on it. I think Silas can pick up the sword, and then you can do whatever you want to move the sword around, and then Silas can recast the sword, and yeah, that seems fine.
Kalanra shows up. I mean, if I have to, picks up the blade,
Yeah.
dies immediately. Never mind.
She spends all the time tapped anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just for pure ramp. It's just a pod-based kind of deck strategy kind of thing. So toolbox, artifacts. But the Hero's Blade creates free real estate, yo. And finally, the final on the list is Nelly Baraka. And I say sure.
Nelly Borka.
Borka, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As someone who's recently gotten a couple copies of her because of the many times that I've seen Brandon fucking weasel his fucking way to victory with that fucking precon.
Man,
It's a
what
good
a card,
precon.
Nelly Borka.
It's a really good precon. I bought it and immediately upgraded it, and it's been... I do have Bloodrick built on MTGO, but I will say I have all the Boros decks I built, both paper, online. Nelly's up there.
She's pretty cool. And
Anything with Goad is like, yep, you're cool.
I think
Yeah.
so again, because Quinn and I agree that Murders at Carlove Manor is a good set
Yes, it's a
for
very good set.
Commander. I
Yes.
couldn't tell you about Standard or whatever. I don't like Yaris, the flip up, face down, Gruul dies, freaking sweet. Ezram sweet. Nelly Borka and Suspect and investigate or evidence, collect evidence or whatever, like all that other stuff. Like, yeah, it's all pretty fucking cool. But Suspect is like, to me, it's such an interesting mechanic because like there's no proper indicator. It's not like put a suspect counter on something. It's like it is suspected. Shut the fuck up, it can't block now. And you're like, okay, cool. But it also has menace. You're like, okay, that's also a really neat trade-off. And within the context of this, especially if you're able to increase the amount of times that you can suspect something, especially with Mr. Ghosty Boy,
Agris Koss.
Agris Koss, man. Like, what a champ. Like, I'm going to suspect your thing, and then Nelly Bork is going to suspect another thing and goad it. and then if I need to, I'll suspect something else, but then on the attack, exile it with Egger's Cost. Like, awesome. Love that. The card draw also happens. Like, this was the time people were complaining that card draw being circumstantially put on a legendary creature, a face creature for that cycle, was really annoying. And I can understand that, but, like, I don't know, you're drawing cards in Boros, you fucking love that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. You can be bored by it all you want. I will continue drawing cards.
Yeah.
Drawing cards helps you win games. I don't know. I hate it too, but it's fact. It's just fact.
Yeah.
Damn. Good. What a good spread of commanders. And you know what? Like, mostly leaning yes, you know, for most of those checks.
Oh,
so, like,
I missed one. I jumped on the list. I jumped
Okay.
on the list. I realized I'm like, wait, I missed one. It's an easy one. Sun Quan, Lord of Wu. Yes.
Yes.
I have a Sun Quan deck.
Horsemanship.
Yeah, easy.
Remember, it's kicker or horsemanship. You know, that's what.
And I will say, I had a Sun Quan deck built before it blew up popularity from Post Malone. I
had one before it was cool. Post Malone, you fucking. Don't steal my thunder.
I bought it way back in the day for like the Legends Vault version for like $6, and then that
what a fucking steal.
That
Jeez.
episode, and this, mind you, this was back in like 2014, so you know,
yeah,
a decade at least before that episode hit, kind of thing. But it was just kind of sitting there as one of my decks that was.
Wait a minute. When was that damn Post Malone episode? Because that's...
I think was it last year or was it this year? I don't remember.
Yeah,
no, it was
like
not.
8 or so years.
Oh, it was?
Hold on. Oh, yeah, it was not that. It was long. It was a few years ago. It wasn't.
Was it? I don't remember.
Time
is
look it up in a
irrelevant.
second here, but we are anyway. So, thank you for your vibe checks for this episode. Probably something we might have to keep in mind for other people in the future, because being like, "Oh, do you got one?" You're like, "Yeah, I got like one." No, we're gonna run you through the gauntlet. We're gonna... All right.
Yeah, welcome to our show. We're going to put you through a grueling experience where we interrogate every one of your commanders and determine if they pass the vibe check.
Okay, it was at least 3 years ago for the record.
Okay.
So you had about a 7-year lead, approximately.
Yeah. That Sun Quan deck has kind of gone through so many phases of disassembling, reassembling, disassembling, reassembling. It's just there. You know, it has... I think now it's just like a deck that has like a lot of smaller creatures that are going to like do some cool combat tricks and stuff like that. Like shredding your library and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's gone through phases. But I love it.
Alrighty, so let's get into community stuff, which overall there hasn't been a whole lot lately. Some people have been commenting. Two people commented over on YouTube for actually hold on. Actually a couple more. We had someone come in to MTG Lexicon last night. And was like, "Oh, cool, you're all playing mono red stuff, right?" And then talked about the podcast, and Summoning Sesh went over, is just like, "Hey, love it. This is great." Then someone gave Quinn advice about the Ezio deck that was over on Shuffle and Play.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good advice overall. And someone you know coming over and just saying, "Yeah, I'm over here from Shuffle Up and Play. Love seeing it. Love seeing this." It's like, yeah, cool. Hope you enjoy listening, because got a lot more of this showing up. Just hey, you know, comment, let us know what's going on, because like, you know, it's been a little radio silent here and there. We got comments on Spotify, you know, that's a whole thing. People kind of forget about that. Even I forgot about that.
I forgot about that too, because I was like, I listened to your podcast on Spotify. I'm like, wait, I can comment?
Only on mobile, like only on the app, which like that makes no fucking sense to me. I'm like, if I'm listening to Spotify on my computer, can I not just type the damn message and be like, "Hey, I like your stuff," you know? But
nope, not allowed.
Nah.
Oh, fair enough.
But yeah, so the general question we were trying to ask was be like, "Hey, last episode's coming up. John's coming in. Anything you want to share or whatever? So Trenton, this was like a month ago now. And it was one that I actually skipped because I wanted to wait till John showed up because it's Trenton. And he's like, why is Talrand a perfect Magic the Gathering card?
I remember that post, and I did reply actually to it, and I kind of feel bad how I replied to that message. I said, you can pitch it to Force of Will.
Man.
In retrospect, I kind of feel bad about that comment. It's like,
you're talking about his boy. Why are you doing him like that?
Yeah. Little
Talrand's
saltiness.
fine.
Little saltiness towards Talrand from the old days, but yeah.
Look, if we're talking about a legendary creature, core set 13 was Talrand came out with Odric, like the first Odric. Nephrox, I think, and like whatever the other ones I can't remember. I couldn't tell you, but like this is something that has pretty much stood the test of time, and it's very simple. You cast your commander and you start casting instant sorcery spells as many times as you can, and you make a bunch of drakes. So you turn them sideways and you kill people with it, and like that's it.
It's still good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. I'm just glad this is like a version of a card where it's like, I kind of wish we were able to give them a bit of a facelift in terms of like whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a Drake.
You got a facelift. It's Alania Skydreamer.
Nah, we don't. No. I'm not getting.
How are you gonna look directly at that? That is literally like intended to be the card that's like a Talrand for the 20.
Yeah, but it's not Talrand,
no.
so it's different. There's no legacy here. It's some other person. I don't want this other person. I want Talrand.
Pelting you with tomatoes.
Okay.
I mean, the Drake in the art kind of reminds me of that the card with that talked about Talrand. I can't remember the name of it, but it had an art Drake that looked just like that, so it's sort of related.
Yeah.
Find the card.
It's like Talrand summons or something like that.
Talrand's Invocation. 2
Close.
and blue, create 2 Drake creature tokens with flying, and it does have that red kind of bluish Drake
like
that you see on
like the red frills and everything.
Yeah, that you see on Skydreamer. So in spirit, it's there. In spirit, both in artwork and ability.
They could have just made it Talrand. They could have made it Talrand 2.0 and we would have been totally fine. But we got to make it a different person.
Yeah,
we'll make
dude,
make 5 different versions of a character throughout Magic's history. We'll give Kellen 5 cards. We'll give this random new kid 5 cards.
We do not need to have Kellen
and I'm okay with Kellen.
For
people hate Kellen, and I'm telling people to leave my boy alone. But we'll give Kellen 5 cards, and I'm okay with that, and I like that. But you make a card that is basically just super Talrand, and you don't just make him Talrand just because. You do it for literally anyone else. It just make it make sense. I want it to make sense, okay?
But yeah, Talrand, still a strong card, even after all these years, because, instant sorceries are really good to play all the time. So yeah, it's still strong.
Yeah.
And there's more support now, even with Talrand-like effects. And you can run Skydreamer in the deck, too, in the 99. So yeah, it's gotten better with age.
Yeah. Modern technology's definitely improved.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people have just been giving us their best wishes as we are closing the year out. We got things from Light, Trenton, Specs and Blue, and Benoit. In that particular order, because Benoit's was hilarious. Light's just saying, I wanted to come up with something funny or insightful or interesting, but truly all I wanted to share was that Here's Blade Vibe Check is my favorite piece of Magic media that I listen to or watch, and I'm very glad that y'all are still you're still going. Thank you for being freaking cool. Thank you, Light, for not only being on an episode, obviously, but also being such an avid listener. Also, cannot wait to see what Light and Medusa are cooking up when their podcast is coming out next year. Quinn, I heard you made some music for them.
Yeah, I composed a piece for them. I truly cannot wait for gamers to hear that.
You know what I also just realized, because it didn't really call attention to it for this episode, but we are also rolling out the new intro song that you made for us.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, where's that thing I wanted on my desk? And you're like, here's 2 of them. And I'm like, okay, one of them really fits what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And also the editing job I did. The transition was sweet. I liked it. Also, Game Boy Advance sounds. What more could you ask for? It's fucking, it's peak. It's peak.
Beautiful.
Trenton is here saying, play more Talrand. Like, okay, yeah. And you two keep being cool ass people that I look up to in the Magic world. So thanks, Trenton. Very appreciated.
We got one from Specs and Blue. It says, I don't know, I like the show. Do you need more than that? What do you want from me? And you know what, babes? I don't need more than that. Thank you.
Listen, we when we were playing last week, I think we were on stream together. I was like, Specs is signed up. I need to get in game in with Specs. Let's go. And the entire time, Specs was laid down on their bed like this, just because it was the only way they could get their whole setup and everything to work. And I'm just like, the whole time for like 2 hours was just draw me like one of your French girls pose in the camera. I'm like, your back's got to be killing you. Like, your shoulders got to be giving out. And Specs like, nah, I'm good. Also, hey, go watch the Heroes Play vibe check. I'm like, you don't need to do that. Like, come on. But it was great. And then Benoit's here. It was like, another Grafted War Gear segment, please. The vibes are still in shambles.
So true, bestie.
We'll get back to you on that one, but I have been eyeballing. I've been wanting to grab a couple more copies of Grafted War Gear because I'm like, but wait, if I can put Heroes Blade in a deck and also put in a Grafted War Gear, that's like double the Heroes Blade.
Much to think about.
The maths. I don't know what you want, but yeah. So thanks for everyone for listening, and I don't know what is with me when I'm like, I'd make it more. I'm like. I say things where I'm like trying to be sincere, and then people are like, Are you going to stop doing the thing? I'm like, no, I'm just saying that I'm feeling emotional about it. Like, I'm not trying to be like, and the podcast is ending, because I tell you, if anything was ending, I would be a lot more honest about it. But no, it's just a being, what's the word? I don't know. Not
Every
solemn.
once in a while, gamers be having feelings, and we like to express those. The little
And then
sincerity.
sometimes people freak the fuck out because they're being too weirdly sincere.
Not the only time. People aren't only sincere when they're stopping doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I will say, it's like, out of all any other, there's a lot of Magic content out there, but I will say this is probably the most sincere, wholesome, in its own way, podcast.
In its own way, thank you, because I was gonna be like,
just like,
sometimes I'm being sincere. I'm sure as shit not being wholesome, because I have no whimsy in this body.
Listen, everybody can express whimsy in some different forms. There's outlets for that.
That's what my cute cats are for.
I was just like, wholesome, babes. I don't edit out my bong rips.
Yeah, no kid. I leave some of that shit in. Like,
listen, again, somebody will find that.
Future Cole, edit it out. Also, Future Cole. I'll trim it, but like, it's sticking in, because that's the thing too. As we're about to go into content, because this is something that I love talking about, right? So, this isn't on the list, but I'll talk about it anyway. So, the Legendary Creature podcast has been like, speaking of stuff we're gonna looking at retroactively and everything, I am still upset, and I'm pointing fingers at Quinn and Lenny, because Lenny also was like, have I never told you about the Legendary Creature podcast? And I said, I don't think so. So I'm pointing at you two, because I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? How come I have not heard of these two before? And Kyle and Andy are so much fun to listen to me. And because there's still a drive in an authenticity and having nuanced discussions about Magic in a mechanical standpoint, in a deck building standpoint, in a social standpoint, right? Because they're also looking at it through the guise of their play group, which is great. And then they have like random dick jokes and talk about ass hooks or whatever, which like, you had to be there, I guess, but like,
You really did.
Like, consider me interested when you know, if you don't really care about the, not necessarily consequences, but if you're really just like so unapologetic about it and you're like, well, we're not sponsored, so like I don't give a shit. We're gonna talk about how Brazzers is free or whatever. like, you know, say whatever the fuck, or like have a condition to be like, we can't mention porn or anything like sexual innuendo or what related for the starting January 1st for content, and then March rolls around and they slip and they lose their fucking minds. Fucking kills me. That shit's so fucking funny. And then what killed, and but then here's the sort of candidness. This is why I love when I'm doing the editing the episode down. There are probably times where like, if there is like a really noticeably long pause, even for you and me, Quinn, like I'll be like, I can cut that out because it's literally just dead air for like more than 5 seconds, and that might be because you're taking a bong hit, or I'm drinking water, or we're both doing that at the same time. You know, like that's just how it works.
Fucking trying to get Moxfield to load that one time.
Yeah, I'd be like, what is happening? Is
Fighting for
Moxfield
my life.
Is Moxfield down today? Are they doing maintenance? We don't know, right? We love Moxfield, whatever. But there was they were recording when Elden Ring Nightfall was announced. And I immediately like messaged the miscellaneous thing in their Discord to be like, yo, Andy, Elden Ring, and he's like, give me that motherfucking link. And I'm like, aren't you recording? He says, give me that fucking link. And then I finally get to listen to the review episode of the other cards from Foundations, which also, what a great review episode. It felt like Christmas because I was like, I know, because they were saying they're busy, and they're like, yeah, like everyone's either getting sick or busy, and we have the time to record, and then it finally, like, they're like, hold on, breaking news, Elden Ring. And I'm like, wait, that was me. I did that. I love it when that shit happens. I've been like, we are doing a review episode. Let's take a brief moment to talk about let's talk about Elden Ring, and also how our specific generation loves texting, because if we call someone, it means someone died, because that's the line of thinking of, you never call me unless it's actually serious life or death. Who fucking died? Love that bit. Fucking love that shit.
So listen to Legendary Creature Podcast.
Yeah, I'm here for the candidness. I'm here for the unapologetic just authenticity in it, and that's what I want to keep doing here. So we're gonna keep doing that. Speaking of other content, Kristen's
back
been
at it again, fucking killing it.
Narukami Knight, or Kristen Emily, has been doing all these articles throughout the year. We've mentioned her a lot. She's rounded out the year. Yeah, I mean, the year's not over. We're still before Christmas, but we got top 10 equipment of 2024, because she thought she was finally over him. But Edgar Markov being reprinted in Innistrad Remastered means she's like, I guess I'm back. How can you quit him? So she made an article about tech cards for Edgar Markov. And then, of course, which I was like, hey, have you been replaced by a robot? 10 of the best clones in Commander. I did a verbal
sometimes.
Yeah, which, you know, I've been playing a few more clones this year, probably overall too, by circumstantially playing a little bit more blue. And yeah, like, clones are pretty awesome. I still hate partner Sakashima. That was a fucking mistake.
I guess a lot.
But when like Neon Dynasty and all that other stuff like has given you ways of copying Dragonhawk multiple times, okay, I'll concede that is actually pretty cool. So,
Shadow Clone Jutsu is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. John, has there been anything recently that you've seen or checked out or read or watched or whatever?
So that's the thing. I've kind of been, I think, especially this year, I've kind of checked out a little bit with social media and content as I worked on myself a little bit this year, and just in general. So I've kind of like checked out a little bit with Magic for a bit. I've been still playing. Sometimes we'll read lit articles here and there if they pop up. I'll watch the occasional video by the professor or MTG Goldfish. I love their Commander stuff. I'm always down for an LLR video, Commander video, or a Highlander video, but I don't consume as much content as I used to, so unfortunately I can't really say as much. But there's some cool stuff out there. So like that, I think the last thing I did was like consumed legacy content to get ready for the meta for Eternal Weekend. That was like my last binge of like Magic content, because I'm like, I don't want to go into this event really, stumbling as much as I know I will.
Well,
Yeah, you're trying to do your homework a little bit.
So speaking of, because obviously, like you said, you were trying to prepare for it, and this is the thing that you've been wanting to talk about since we invited you on. So how did that event go? What was going on in Legacy that weekend? Because this was back, in October?
About a month ago. It was a month ago, actually, because it was Eternal Weekend. It was held, so this was the North American Eternal Weekend, because we just, about a week or two ago, got done with the European one in Prague. So we had, so last month was the North American one. It was hosted in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Great city, great place to be in for anything. So I was happy that they have Eternal Weekend there. So I am primarily a Commander player, for those who don't know. I dabbled a little bit with like Pauper and Modern back in the day, competitively, Star City game events, stuff like that, but not really a 60 card person in general. But I got the chance to acquire a Legacy deck off one of my dearest friends, and then I just quickly threw money into it, sold off a few cards, threw some money into it, got it up to snuff, basically. And so I'm playing Urion Death and Taxes, mono white, which has a high floor when you're trying to, get used to it. Because you're a mid-range control deck that you want to try to get into the late game. And once you get into the late game, then you can start really, you have a good chance of making it, kind of thing. You can get through past that early game, and that's going to require you to do a lot of removal, wastelanding, sequencing correctly, and knowing, okay, finally I can pop down my Stoneforge, go grab my Cauldron or my Batter's Familiar, and then we can start having some fun. The deck really got a nice, like every deck in Modern and Legacy and Vintage, got a nice little facelift with Modern Horizons 3 along with Commander. So that deck did get some benefits from it. Here I am, first major Legacy event, and I've probably only been like really playing Paper Legacy for a couple months now with a fresh deck. I did some stuff on MTGO, again dabbling with like meme decks and stuff like that, but not like, okay, I'm sitting face to face with an opponent and I'm trying to play this right, kind of thing. So I went and I think that's why I chose do Urion, not only because my friend had the Death and Taxes deck, but I'm like, well, I'm essentially playing Commander. I'm like 3 cards short of Commander, so close enough. Here's my Commander in Urion, and we're gonna go from there. But I can play multiples of like Path to Exile and Swords and all that stuff. But
it'll be a lot more consistent than a Commander deck.
But at the end of the day, I'm playing a toolbox deck, and and you're fine with having like 1 or 2 ofs kind of thing of most cards, besides like your Stoneforge Mystics and stuff like that. Like you have 1 Cauldron complete in the deck, and that's all you need.
Yeah, true.
The deck loves Formal Wear from Fallout.
Pre-war Formal Wear. When I
keep telling Cole, they've got Fallout on there.
Look, I'm not playing MTGO. I've mentally thought about this a long time, right? And I'm just gonna go on the fuck it. I'm just gonna go on the tangent here, okay? I can't look at MTGO like I look at MTG Arena as like a video game, right? That's how I look. But here's the problem: is that MTG Arena only has so much functionality, and it has a limit. It also can be a piece of shit sometimes, and sometimes if I'm done playing with it, I just delete it, and then it's done, and I don't have to worry about it, right? But with MTGO, there's all this additional functionality on it where I'm like, this isn't a video game anymore. Like, this is a whole other toolkit.
But
that
it is just a video game.
But that's an extension of Magic. But honestly, with the shit that's been happening this year, or sorry, not this year, for like the last few years, in terms of like technology and AI and crypto and all this other shit, I literally look at MTGO and I'm like, this is the blockchain. None of this is fucking real. And I get you can eventually convert stuff and make them actual physical cards or whatever. But like, that requires so much investment of my time and effort that I would really rather just have something physical to play with. So I just can't trust or myself to actually engage with MTGO. Okay, fine, go.
$25 all access pass for 2 weeks.
But they said not everything's included in it, so...
Almost everything is included in it. Everything that matters is included in it.
They've done a good job over the years with the toolkits and the essentials thing. Like, MTGO was my way of playing Pauper competitively because, you know, there was a time that nobody was on the ball for it at my LGS, so it's like, I like this format, let me play more. And I can literally spend like $5 and that's it. And it's like, that's perfect for a broke college student.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm such... The other thing, too, where I'm like, it could probably give me a way to play all these different formats and stuff, because, like, but I have no interest in it. Like, people are like, Modern's great, like, Splinter Twin and all these other unbannings, which, like, oh, hey, by the way, there was a bunch of stuff banned and unbanned last week. Cool.
And we can kind of go back to Eternal Weekend on this because
is Yorion on the chopping block because they cut off Gigantha's fucking head? Like, maybe we'll have to wait and see. But...
Nah, Yurion's nowhere.
Rest in peace, 5-5.
Yeah, Yurion's nowhere close to a ban list. You know, there's more.
No, probably not.
No, I will say the only card that got affected in my deck was Vexing Bobble, but I was like, all right. So I took it out, put some stuff into the sideboard, and popped it into the main board and updated the sideboard a little bit with the help of Elle. She's been great helping me, guiding me through the Death and Taxes world. So yeah, so that was the only...
I'm passing the sword to you now.
So that was the only ban that affected me, but I know a big one. And it kind of irked me a little bit that most of my matches when I was trying to really learn the meta, it was the frog decks. Like some variation of frog.
Psychic frog?
Yeah, Psychic Frog. And one of my friends was like, you gotta let them enjoy it. They're about to lose it next month. I'm like, yeah, fair. Let them enjoy it. They're gonna lose it next month.
They're so fucked, bro. You won't believe it.
Brutal.
But no,
but think about the One Ring players.
You gotta let them enjoy it, bro. They're fucking cooked.
Yeah, no, it's brutal.
But I saw like one of my matchups was against like a Stoneblade deck with the frog, so I dubbed it Ribbit Blade. So ultimately,
nice.
Eternal Weekend. So I don't know about the vintage side. In the Legacy side, the Mystic Forge deck ultimately won the whole North American Championship, which that's a killer deck right there. And then I think some variation of the Frog decks made it in. There was a Death and Taxes list that made it into the top 8, so that was good. That's cool.
Not bad for what, a tier 2, tier 3 Legacy deck?
I mean, it's a deck that's always there. It's always there. It's going to be a staple. It's changed to the point where we don't play Thalia anymore, but it's still there.
Which is that's kind of crazy. Even me thinking about that, I'm like, wow.
I asked about that, and apparently Thalia just kind of got meted out with everything right now. It's just like,
I mean, when you think about like relative power creep, like what's one more mana?
Yeah.
Like if you're already casting something for free, oh no, I gotta play a generic one. Like I don't care.
Yeah. So Eternal Weekend again, Commander player coming into their first Legacy event. I didn't play the main championship because I'm like, nope. I just bought a challenge badge, which got me access to all the $20 challenge events. and just every day grinded all the legacy side events to get tickets and get to learn all the matchups. And just, I think I played like 17, 18 matches of legacy within the span of 4 days, which is quite a bit.
That sounds like a lot of Magic.
Well,
actually.
that's not just one game, because that's a back and forth best of three.
And you know, there were times where I would never get to the game 3, but by the end of the weekend I was starting to take people to game 3 kind of thing. So by the end of it, when I'm already tired, it gets even more extended kind of thing.
You can feel yourself improving though.
Yeah, so
circuits are fried, steam's coming out of your head. You're like,
by the last side event of the night of the day was on Sunday. It was like 3:30, and it's like, this is gonna take 3 hours. And most people were just like, we were like, hey, do you want to just play for funsies and split the tickets each round? And most of us were doing that because we're like, we can't play. We were missing triggers by like 5:30.
You're like,
by like 4:30, 5:30 on a Sunday. Because most of the people had just played it in the actual tournament on top of any side events before that on Saturday and Sunday. So it's like, most of us by 5:30, we're tired, you know, after 4 days of just eternal play. So it was a neat experience. I won some good prizes. I got enough tickets to get a commander deck, the one from Thunder Junction with Olivia. So
okay,
that was cool.
yeah, hey.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's a neat little precon, yeah.
Yeah, it was neat. Somebody played it in the precon in a casual commander pod, and I was like, "Oh, sick! They got one over there at the prize wall. I'm gonna go use my tickets on it. Cool." But yeah, it's a great time watching Vintage. You know, it's like amazing just standing back and watching it. Pre-modern was big there as well. That's a cool format. A lot of CDH players. There was like, I tried doing a 2K prize event for EDH where it's like, hey, you pay $40, you play like 3 or 4 rounds in a pod with different people, and then they, based on points, you'll get like a certain amount of store credit from one of the vendors. Problem is, when you introduce $2,000 worth of potential store credit into a casual tournament, no.
Yeah, no.
That's
fucking
not
blood in the water, and the sharks are coming, man.
there's no such thing as there's no such thing as casual when you have 2,000 to split among 50 people or something like that, or not.
Look, for all the horror stories that I could ever tell, which are thankfully not many, but I think about going to your LGS on a free commander night and someone's fucking pub stomping some poor 12-year-old with no sleeves on his deck. And you think about, hey, pay $10 in and we might be able to give away, like, hey, we got a surplus of this buy a box card from, like, last year or whatever, or game day promos or whatever, and people are still being pretty fucking rough about it. And you put actual hard cash on the line, fuck off. Like, people's heads are being chopped off at every opportunity. They'll stumble over each other to get to it.
So mind you, Cole, I paid $40, played one round, said, F this, I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
And I just blew $40 that I could have used that actual vendor to buy some legit Magic cards instead.
You could have gone gambling, dude. You could have gone to the casino.
Yeah, it's like
a smothering tithe or something.
Yeah, I could have bought some cool stuff, which I did buy using trading in a bunch of stuff, because when you go to those big power events and stuff like that, you bring your best stuff in your binders to trade in, to find the weird stuff, which I did for Karametra. I found a lot of it. Most stuff, there's like 3 cards now missing, and it's for her to be completely blinged out, but it's stuff that I'm like, yeah. Nice. But like I went through every vendor. It's like, hey, do you have a San Diego Comic-Con promo, Ronus the God Eternal? I went to every vendor looking for it. And they're like, no. But I do have, but somebody did have the Invocation Ronus, and I was like, I need that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. You showed me that. Yeah, love that. Yeah. That's freaking great.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so it's like I found like a lot of the stuff I was looking for. But yeah, I did play some casual commander pods because like you found like if you wanted to grind tickets, you pay $10, fire a commander pod, get your 80 tickets, and then you can keep doing that. And if you can
Yeah,
find
you
a
keep
couple
doing it.
people,
Yeah, just chain it back to back to back.
you can chain it and find some people, and it's like, hey, I just need like 80 or 160 tickets. I don't mind shelling out $20 kind of thing. But that was fun. So it was just an amazing weekend. I had some mutuals there that I knew that I was kind of able to latch on to kind of like get the 411 about everything. Again, incredible city. So I was able, after everything, I was able to like walk around and find some cool restaurants and stuff like that. So it was overall a really, as you know, a Commander player takes on Legacy, and it was fun. I am excited for next year, and I can't wait to get my chops up to play more Legacy.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that seems exciting. Every time I look at the coverage from Eternal Weekend, I'm like, damn, everybody out there's having so much fun. Do I get into one of these formats?
Because here's what I learned in talking to people who play Legacy, talking to some of my close friends and stuff like that. Legacy players are typically chill, and they're in it for the love of the game, because you're those are going to be the grindy people, but you're there because you've played this game for a while, you built up your collection, stuff like that, and you're there because you're in love with the game, and you're going to play some crazy Magic and have some fun, memorable moments, and everybody is just so chill there. And it's a great time, and you just kind of get to
honestly,
talk.
I think if I can actually think about people who, and I don't know personally, I don't know very many people who play Legacy, like in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people I know I would play with are like Commander players, right? But like, I can genuinely think of like maybe one Legacy player that fucking grinds my fucking gears to no end. And everyone else is cool. Everyone else is cool. This one person doesn't have to represent like the whole player base.
There's all
They're like, this game Legacy fucking sucks. Why you still play it? So like, I don't understand. But they could fix it. Okay, you need to chill out. You're harshing my vibe, dude. You need to calm down. Commander players suck. Okay, we're done. The conversation's over. You know,
you just block weirdos and move on.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Great, because then since it was the North American Championship, you had people from all over flying out. You know, you're asking, like, oh, hey, where are you from? Did you drive out, fly out? You know, a lot of people from Toronto coming down, met some people from Cali, just all throughout, just driving up or flying up kind of thing. It's a 6-hour drive for me, so I just put on some tunes, listened to y'all, caught up to y'all's podcast, and just zoomed away kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
Trekking through the mountains of West Virginia to Pennsylvania.
So 2.5 episodes can get you for your whole drive. There you go.
Essentially, yeah, because it's 6 hours minus stops and stuff like that. So yeah, you can grind out a couple episodes. And if you're like one of the people driving from like Georgia and stuff like that, you can get even more episodes in.
I can guarantee you will not finish the podcast, but you also will barely scratch the surface of what we're up to. God, I was going back through the beginning of the podcast, and I'm like, hour and a half. What the fuck? We had no idea.
No, I'm so used to your last podcast where it's like, I think we did like an hour of content kind of thing, and that was somehow, even though we weren't like scripted on anything, like we were off the fly most of the time. Like we had a general idea from what I remember, but most of the time it was like, we would kind of
Commander, what a mess.
Yeah, we would talk a little bit on DM each other, and then boom, okay, let's talk. You hit record, hope something good comes out of this. Which there was a lot that did come out of your old podcast.
Yeah, this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim LePage, can you let a guy know? No. Fuck. Okay, we'll try it again later.
Now you have like a Google Doc and notes and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, we're professional as fuck around here.
Yeah. But no, Eternal Weekend, great time. If you just want and there's plenty of Commander players out there, so if you ever want to do like a weekend and get a pass and stuff like that, one of those, go to one of those Eternal Weekends and stuff like that. It's very fun.
I think I want to go to Eternal Weekend.
I need to
learn Storm.
So I think they announced the dates. It's in August this coming up year. Same location, same convention hall like they've always done. But that Cartine's done, but it's in August instead of November.
Yeah. look at that and gotta grind some levels in the formats and see what's good.
It'll also be warm.
I will say I'm wondering, because something that's picking up steam is the value vintage format, so I'm wondering if people are going to start doing that at
Value
like those events.
vintage.
It's an actual little mini format, and my LGS just hosted an event for it. It's a real deal that you can look up, and yeah, it's cool. So usually people like, okay, let me look at like the budget stuff from other formats kind of thing and do that.
Huh. Interesting.
Sweet.
Another format I won't play. Sounds good.
Hey Cole, you want to play some Brawl?
Okay, I could be convinced. There's like no actual. I have brawl decks ready to go. What I've done recently, like, because I wanted to test some stuff out from Foundations. So I spent a few days on Arena just grinding Brawl to get your coins, to use the coins to buy packs, to generate wild cards, to get
To buy more
a
brawl
copy.
cards.
You get Gimli Mournful Avenger to be like, cool, I gotta try to like demo it a bit just to see how it feels. And you know, I could there's something there. I think I do need to work on my commander version a little bit, but you know, you're like, cool, I'm gonna play this new Vadmir New Blood deck because I need to cast 30 black spells or whatever, and then you cast Kervek the Punisher or whatever the fuck that thing is. You're like, holy shit, this thing's fucking busted. What the fuck? And then it
is.
You learn some things with Brawl and Arena, and then you're like, cool, it's time to go back and play Commander and take what I learned with me. But yeah, I could be convinced to play Brawl.
You want to play Oathbreaker again?
No, but
I've got a Tybalt deck ready for you. It's mono red.
Okay, maybe
What's your signature spell?
Yeah, what is your signature spell? Devil's Playground or?
I don't even remember. It's been a year since I played that deck.
Okay, well.
I know.
Is it Devil's Play? Is it like the burn spell?
No, it's Burning Inquiry. That's my signature spell.
Okay, so you just lean into the chaos drawn
Yep.
discard. Okay,
That's
it's Burning Inquiry because I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna play chaos and it's gonna be unpredictable every game, I'm gonna lean fully into it because you can't control that chaos.
It's true. Yeah, that's pretty okay. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Let's get into this next section.
Yeah, so we are changing up decks and brews and stuff a little bit, mostly because we want to use this part to be sort of the year-end review for what we thought about Commander and like new cards and all this other stuff. So what I had asked, what we had kind of thought about was, hey, what are some cards or legendary creatures that we love this year that worked out for us, we thought were really super cool? What were some of the legends we fucking hated? So I got a few with some honorary mentions here and there, but we'll not waste our time. John, we'll hit you up first with your list.
Yeah, some favorites and least like. Now, mind you, there's no commanders I really hate. There's more things like I'm either very mid to it, or it's like, okay, and then I just pass it by. But there's a few that I kind of like popped in my brain. But let's start with some of my faves. Let's go Thalia, Exuberant Shepherd, best doggo in the multiverse. And yeah, that card's just good from a legacy standpoint. It's great in Death and Taxes. It's great in Commander for the Blink decks. It's just really good. I like it. Best pupper. The new Eladamri from Modern Horizons 3. I'm a green player. I love playing my creatures, and yeah, I can get them out for free. That's great. Balin. Balin's just really stupidly good. It's mentioned many times. Yeah,
the few times that I've seen it, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah,
nice.
it just gets very silly, and then we got, then you have the hairs and stuff like that, and you get even more silly and stuff like that. Get some impact tremors and all that stuff. Yeah, that deck goes ham, and it's great. A recent one that I've been starting to play that came from Murders of Karloff Manor is Tristani 3 Whispers. That
I
card,
like all three. I like all three of those activated abilities. They're very cool.
yeah, that it. And if you're in green white, so you should have the mana to activate those abilities multiple times. If
I
you
would
don't-
hope so. Yeah.
If you don't, you're doing something wrong. But
I love the double strike. You're like, oh, you're attacking someone else. Would you like something?
yeah. So Tristani was the most recent addition I made to Karametra because she doesn't get too many additions these days. But I'm like, I threw that in there because now I consider that Tristani that like the lieutenant of the deck. Like that's like the backup commander plan kind of thing of like, hey, I'm gonna give all these big creatures and stuff like that. I have like Death Touch or Double Strike or something like that. So or Karametra can just swing on in like that, and it's 3 pips right there on its own right. So that's great. Then we got Nelly, who we just talked about in my list. She is
Pretty
great.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Koala, Johnny's Pride Mate. I was a Soul Sisters player in Modern back in the day, and I love all the Pride Mates. This deck, when that card just got released in Jumpstart Foundations, I immediately put it in my Heliod deck, which is the remnants of my Soul Sisters Modern deck. It's what I scrapped it away and made it into that. So
Very
yeah,
cool. Very
I
nice.
just love it. I love a Pride Mate effect so much, and it just widens the range on that. Next is Arabella, Abandoned Doll. I love it. I think I did a popper list. I showed you a popper list a while back on that because there's still some good stuff even at 2 mana at the popper level, or 2
power.
2 power at the popper level. And and it was funny when that card was released. I was binge watching What We Do in the Shadows, and that made me think of Naja's little soul doll so badly. I'm like, oh, if I could get an altar of that of just Naja.
Oh no, a pop culture media reference. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'm lost.
I've never seen a single movie.
Well, What We Do in the Shadows is it was a movie back in like 2013, 2014 that Tumblr absolutely loved. And
yes,
then
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then it got made into an FX TV series like 2019, 2020, and it just finished up this year, this past month after 6 seasons. So
Wow.
really good series. If you can check it out on like Hulu and stuff like that. It's worth the binge. It is hilarious and great. And then my final faves is Caesar, Legion's Emperor. Because I love New Vegas a lot, and I was happy that that deck itself, just the deck itself, has all like a bunch of characters I love.
Is like, I still have the pre-con together.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I don't want to touch it because it's just so good.
Like, there's some things about it where it's like you see the potential, and like there's probably a few changes you can make to make it really fucking go through the fucking roof, right? But if you're taking
just
it
got
in
all the token doublers.
but like a lot of the cards that you even don't think would work in the deck actually turns out to work out really well together. And you're like, why is Craig Boone in like the quote unquote villains deck? And you also look at House, you look at Mr. House, you're like, you're literally fucking useless in this list, dude. Like,
Oh, that's why I cut him and replaced him with General Kudrow.
you would do that.
I
It's
fucking
fucked
love
up.
General Kudrow. What a card.
I did a pre-con night a few weeks ago, and I brought that out to the table because it was still together, and it rocked the whole time away. It's still strong, and I like Caesar's Legion, and I think Caesar also passes the vibe check.
I was still shocked. 2 modes. You choose 2 of them. I'm like, what? I thought you're supposed to only usually choose 1. What do you mean you get to choose
Sacrifice
2?
1 token to make 2 soldiers and stop there? No, I have to
This
also draw
dude
a card,
has a
Cole.
brain tumor. Why is he doing 2
I
actions?
spent 4 whole mana in 3 different colors. It's a difficult casting cost, which means I have to be rewarded accordingly.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it's messed up.
It's a good curve, yeah. So yeah, those are like some of my notable favorites. I literally posted when I was getting ready. I literally sent a comment in the chat of like, there's too many legends that came out this year. So I just kind of looked through and I'm like, the ones that are notable, either I've played or built or something like that in some way or made a list. Because if there's one that initially will come out and I love, I'll immediately make a deck list and then send it to Cole. Be like, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
And most of these commanders, I'm like, yeah. Now going to my least liked. There's like 3 I could really think of that are like, eh. First, this is kind of 2 of them are kind of on the same note, and that's
they're also from the same set, so
yeah, from the same set too. It's Marina, Vendrell, and then Victor Valgoth. I don't know.
Valgavoth, yep.
Valgavoth. Yeah. So those 2 I kind of look at, and I'm like, okay, they have this whole thing for enchantments, but they care about rooms. And that's a mechanic that I'm like, how more often are we going to get rooms?
Yeah, but rooms are sick, though.
They are sick, but it's one of those things that's like, you always were thinking, like, how can I advance this and make this better? You know, they do kind of tack on with a little bit of the enchantments, but I feel like you do kind of get bottlenecked a little bit. It's in the same route that we were talking a couple weeks ago about that one Gruul commander that cared about oil counters. And I'm like,
yeah, Miglaws, yeah.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, you're limited on a little bit. Then you kind of got to think out of that.
So this is something, and this is maybe a bit of commentary, and like, you know, the people who are making these cards for us and like these sets are obviously doing a good job. There's a reason why they're all these R&D and designers at WotC, right? But the thing is that every time that they change the standard structure. Like, we went from blocks to we went to single sets. Or they were like, we're going to go from 3 set blocks to 2 set blocks and all this other stuff. And that comes with a lot of mechanical baggage. And the thing is like, if we still had block set structures, which, like, I don't know how that works within the hyper speed standard format, like the way sets are coming out, right? But at least you have the room to have a mechanic either be fleshed out or given space within the block structure, so they don't just try to hyper condense everything in one set, right? And that would make me think that if there was more chances of them given a chance to, like, battles or rooms are like the 2 things I think of like, how are they going to do this again in the future? Battles haven't come up yet, although apparently theoretically they may or may not be, or people are, I don't know how battles will come up in an upcoming set, but we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll see them again. Have faith.
But battles don't share a type with anything else but rooms or enchantments, which means it's likely for rooms to come back as long as it's thematically appropriate. It just so happened to be we're in a haunted house. You know, why didn't they do rooms at Murders at Karlov Manor, where I thought we were playing Clue or some shit, you know? But
because they were doing other things in that set, like
they were doing cases, and cases are also kind of like
cases,
you know.
Yeah. So I immediately, again, I don't like really hate them. It's just like I look at them and I'm like, there's cool, and they look like rooms are really cool, and you know all the most of the rooms are good. It's like, but it's just like I feel a little bottlenecked for right now. Maybe I'll line up a little more on them once if we get any more introduction on that, and like but for right now I'm like, like they're all right, but it's like I feel bottlenecked from like an expansions point kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then my last one on here is Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury. I'm not a fan of like the escape mechanic in the command zone as much, and then it's like I like the idea of having like a sort of mini Inferno Titan lightning helix kind of effect in your command zone, but it just doesn't do it for me. I don't know, it's just too many steps to get to there.
I have a friend of mine out here who has a pretty tuned Flage deck, and he's even escaped it like a couple times. And I think what it really comes down to, because it comes back to the whole mechanical tie-in to Croxa and Uro, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's the Theros giant, it has to have it. I think for the fact that, like, it's coming down for 2 mana to get a Lightning Helix off. Like, that's pretty
think
good
it's
freaking
3.
value. That's what?
I think it's 3. 1 red,
3
1.
mana.
Oh, it is 3 mana? Okay, I
Yeah.
stand corrected. But, you know, it was obviously in this case, the other thing too, it was hilariously designed for Modern Horizon. It was actually designed for Modern, probably more than it was even thinking about Commander, despite the fact that they went on record saying that they were thinking about Commander players when they made the set. But in terms of, like, yeah, I really don't want to go out of my way to jump through that many hoops to try to get this guy to work. But some people are tickled by the concept. So
Now,
am
I will
raising my
say,
hand.
from a Commander standpoint, I wouldn't play this. But the fact that there is a red-white Death and Taxes list that's really coming into the mold and might be the meta play, and you can have pre-Wormhole Formware. You can get by that. Oh wait, unless it escapes. Never mind. I don't. You have to. Pay
Well,
the
no,
escape
because here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing, and this is gonna go into. I'll talk about Bloodrick later, but there are now other cards that say just flicker target permanent or non-land permanent or whatever, right? So you put your pre-order formula out, and you bring out your Flage, you have it ETB, do the thing, and then it dies, and then you do that again later by flickering your free equipment spell. Like, it's just
I have the Flage Brawl deck, and the whole thing is just like +1/+1 counters aggro stacks, and we stifle the enter the battlefield
trigger,
of
yeah.
the Flage so that I get to have a 6/6, and then we attack and get the trigger, or we just use it as a removal spell, and when we finally do have the stuff that we need to escape it, then we do that, or we cast it again from the command zone for 5, because that's still fine, and we've got the, like, suite of Impact Tremors and Warstorm Surge effects in there, so that when it hits for 6, it fucking
I was gonna say,
hits for
Tear the
6.
Peaks of Warstorm Surge love this fucking guy.
Yeah.
But from a legacy standpoint, I'm like, yeah, I would play it in that deck, and then you could form aware it to bring it back, and then it'll be just like Solitude, where it's like, you know, it's going to be a one-time removal spell, but you might bring it back a couple times and keep on going.
It does what it needs to do in that case, right?
And I
if you're
guess
dodging.
And I guess in the idea of Death and Taxes, where you're trying to get to the long game, and this might be a long game payoff after you've just, like, stacked your graveyard with your wastelands and your swords and stuff like that. So I can see it in that call kind of thing.
Yeah. I'll need to see if I can get that list. I get the commander list from my friend.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Flagech's pretty fucking sweet. Quinn, what do you got for this year?
I think you had asked about this somewhere, and so I was like, in my usual flair, my top 5 beloved and beloathed. So in the beloved section, we have Dragonhawk, Fate's Tempest, Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls, Hugs, Grizzly Guardian, Ezio Auditore Diffidenze, and Aurelia, the Law Above, with an honorable mention to Zoraline, Cosmo Scholar. And in the beloathed section, we have Rendmaw, Creaking Nest, Vren the Relentless, Vihan, Goldwaker, Ulalek, Fused Atrocity, and Roxanne, Starfall Savant, with an honorable mention in the context of 1v1 brawl only, Laughing Jasper Flint.
Anytime I'm on the brawl ladder trying to just get my achievements for the day, get my dailies done, and then I see Laughing Jasper Flint show up, I'm like, fuck, who invited you? Go away.
Just
every
like, I
time.
sure would love to cast my spells, and then you get matched against Jasper, and he's like, I'm gonna
Like,
shred
I
your
guess I better
library.
have removal. Like, I better have removal. Like,
You do
right away
have
from this.
removal, it's just that Jasper's exiling all of it and then casting it against you.
Yeah, it's this list, both your lists are a mix of, yeah, okay, I can get behind it, to absolutely I want more copies of it, for, like, I want more hugs, you know, like, get it.
As
Can't
it
get enough
turns
of
out,
that guy.
an exploration that's also a 5/5 with trample, that's also a commune with lava. It's
Cool.
sick.
And, like, Dragonhawk, listen, again, Dragonhawk saves Christmas, everyone. Like, that's where we're at today.
Dragonhawk saves Christmas, and then the impossibly loud eagle screech every time we say that. Wow,
Hey, thanks, Dragonhawk.
Valgavoth fucking, I hate this guy.
Yeah, I understand. It is kind of an annoying card, but I'm an Owling Mine sicko, and this is the kind of card that wants you to play Owling Mine.
So here's the thing. Like, if you want to play your Zozu the Punishers and all that other shit with this guy, right? Like, I know what you're trying to do. I fucking hate every step of the way because you're just getting the benefits off of it. And then you draw a card and put a +1 counter on this guy? Fuck this guy. He fucking sucks.
And he is flying and ward. Like, it's just... Yeah.
I'll pay life. I'll pay the life. I don't care. But, like, but there are the times where I'm like, man, I really wish I had a removal spell for him, and you just don't fucking have it. And you're also, you're like, well, I might not be able to get to this card fucking fast enough because these other things are fucking killing me for breathing. Like, Christ. Aurelia's great, obviously.
Yeah, I love the card advantage for attacking, as well as the lightning helix if you go wide enough. And the fact that she works on any...
She triggers on other people!
...is really good, because then you have two different builds of her. You can do the one where you're doing the attacking and forcing that trigger every turn, or you can sit back and play goad control and have everybody else be responsible for generating those triggers. And both of those are neat.
She's on my top 5 for the faves this year. When it comes to your beloved, which that was fucking
a lot of it is just like commanders that are focused on being removal dot deck, or just Rendmaw in particular tilts me because he basically only asks you to play the game in the deck building stage. And past that, you can just put your permanents into play and kind of not worry about anything else that's going on the board, and the game will play itself around you in your favor, and that tilts me.
I have very rarely seen Renmaw, so that just makes me wonder how many Renmaws you've gone against to be burned like this. Like, what's happened?
I've seen it more than a couple of times.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a very popular legend.
One of the things about your list, like Vren the Relentless, like I kind of hit my radar, and like otherwise, like I very rarely see it. But
I've seen it twice. It's just that the card is asking you to play destroy target creature on every like that's all it wants you to do, and then you make a bunch of rats and turn them all sideways and kill people. And like, I respect that like control decks have to exist in the metagame, but this one is just a uniquely miserable one.
But Vihan and Ulalek they go into some of the legends I'll be talking about in a bit. And they're not at, like, the top of my list because I've only ever seen them more in passing. Like, I haven't seen them recently in, like, the last few months. I think I have one of them each showing up on my spreadsheet this year. But the thing to me, and it'll go into my list here in a second, I have a nebulous sense of fair play when it comes to Commander. And if a commander doesn't play to that sense of fairness, I just fucking hate it out the gate. Unless it does something I really want to do, and in which case, I'm the biggest slut for that damn thing you've ever seen in your life. You know?
Rules for me, but not for thee.
I want to get away with it.
I feel like you're calling out all Simic commanders that come out from this point forward.
Correct. You don't even get me fucking started on what the fuck Simic players have been up to. All right,
Simic.
I got to play with OG Coma for. I got to play with an OG Coma for the first time by taking control of it, and I'm like, this is fucked up. I have 4 Coma's coils, and I've only had this thing for 1 turn cycle. Like, what the fuck? And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
I played this extremely medium reanimator deck on Arena that was focused on putting something like Coma or Icebreaker Kraken into play on turn 4, and you just... it's not a game after that.
No, it's... Yeah, so when it comes to stuff, like, Ulalek, obviously, like, it's Eldrazi, it copies the effect.
It does
right?
so fucking much.
Like
And
it does too much, and I get it. Like I get why it exists, how it exists, why it's in the
and
commander
it's
precon.
5 colors. So the one downside of Eldrazi used to be like, sure, you can have this powerful threat from beyond the stars,
But you got to play
but you
colorless.
have to play colorless. And
Yeah.
Ululek says you can play all of that, and you can play Rhystic Study, Smothering Tithe, and the Great Henge.
Yeah, so like get fucked, right? So it's just that if I just think it's too over, all these commanders that I'm also gonna be mentioning here are too overclocked. And like why there's the setup for Vihan, right? Like you have to make gold tokens, blah blah blah, right? Or treasures. But treasures are one of the easiest fucking things to make. So why does this fucker have to cost 3 mana? Like
He's a 3-mana Crater Hoof that you're allowed to play in the command zone. I really just like, did you really need that?
Sorry, go ahead, John.
Another reason why I got the Olivia deck was because I was playing against that person at the precon. They played Vihan, and just alone, it's like we got murdered to that, and I'm like, oh my god, imagine you just make Vihan your commander, you tweak everything,
And they become outlaws. So you're like, cool. So the thing that cares about my outlaws doing combat damage or attacking also triggers. Like, fuck off. It's an endless vicious cycle. It's bullshit.
I mean, if we were still in the world of dockside extortionists and stuff like that.
Oh, don't even get me
I've
started.
played against a Vihan deck while we were still in that world, and it was just like, all right, everybody's got a bunch of those. We're gonna play this guy. We're gonna play Vihan, and are we good here? All right, let's move on.
I think it's also like the Nadir Nightblades and Mirkwood Bats of the world, that the fact that like you can sacrifice them and have Pitiless Plunderer out, and because they're creatures, you sacrifice your creature treasure tokens, zap someone out of fucking existence, and then make more treasure tokens on top of it, but they're not creatures. Like, fuck off, man.
Vihan really does give the gift that keeps on giving. It's the true Christmas commander.
The man is Scrooge McDuck swimming in gold, and I fucking hate him for it. Okay, so I'll flip the script a bit. I'll talk about the other cards that I hate from this year before going to the ones that I like, because you know what, we can end on a positive note for this one.
Right.
But let's talk about Campbell Profiteering Mayor, the Wise Mothman, the Gitrog Ravenous Ride, Edward Kenway, and Bello Bard of the Brambles.
All right.
Here's the thing. All of these are... So, out of all the ones that I mentioned here, the Wise Mothman, I'll marginally give a bit of a pass here because of the interaction with the radiation mechanic. Like, I'm okay with that. I like radiation. How they might be able to incorporate that in, like, a different set that isn't Fallout in the future, I don't know. But look, if we have the equivalence of nukes being dropped on people in the Brothers' War, I think we could probably figure out, like, a radiation equivalent, but whatever.
Yeah, I think we can do that again.
But every time that I've seen people play their modified pre-con Mothman decks or whatever, they're like, cool, here is my very quickly developing board state. I have an army that of 40 power within like a turn cycle or two. I'm like, get fucked.
They're like, turn 2 Mesmeric Orb, turn 3 Vexing Radgold, turn 4 Mothman. Are we good here?
Yeah, like, and again, it goes into the whole Simic thing that you mentioned, John, but like, oh, we're gonna add black to it and it makes it better? No, that's fucking bullshit. It makes it
all
worse.
Of this, and I can play Nuclear Fallout.
And it's just, it's just...
As somebody from the Appalachians, I adore this card, but as an EDH player, I don't adore this card.
Yeah, like, I'm of two minds about it because it's from Fallout, right? And I like the Fallout cards. I like the Fallout Commander Precons. I like the games. It's also from Fallout 76, and you know what? That's a pretty contentious thing in itself, so that's another negative point against it. But again, all of these cards, and I haven't thankfully seen as much of the Gitrog Ravenous Ride, but it adds to the same thing of, for very minimal investment, or even just playing the fucking game, you are rewarded with a monumental boatload of value because fuck you, you figured it out the deck building level, and now here's the application, right? for
I do
Bello.
gotta state for the record, I do kind of like the Wise Mothman, though. I don't know.
Okay,
like,
I know.
sure, it's
Again, like
easy,
I'm like,
but
fine.
I don't know. It's kind of neat.
Like, so for Bello, for giving your non-auras or non-equipment stuff, you make them 4/4s, and they have indestructible and haste, and you also get to draw a card. Why does it need to do all that? If you took one of those away, I'd be okay with it. I'd be more okay with it. And I don't care if it's the card draw. You take away the card draw, fine. I have to deal with a bunch of fucking indestructible 4/4s. Fuck me, I guess. The haste, sure, okay. You play your new enchantment and give it haste. I could get behind that. But why do they fucking have to be indestructible? What magic is this fucking trash panda weaving to make them this fucking...
Nobody's gonna go to combat if it means that my nice 4/4 enchantment is gonna die.
Yeah, but Quinn, it's also a 4/4. Like, what are you not attacking with the 4/4 for? What's happening, you know?
We have to put this very specific combination of factors together to encourage mages to turn their enchantments sideways.
Anyway, I could argue if one of these effects was taken away, I would not be putting Bello up on the fucking firing squad. You know?
If he didn't draw cards, you would probably be fine with him. But he does all of that, and he draws cards.
So I have gone against Edward Kenway against you, Quinn, and that's part of the 99.
I put that into play on turn 2. It's wildly inappropriate.
Like, what the fuck? But I've also gone against decks that were helmed
turn
by...
3, my bad.
Yeah, because, you know, sequencing. But, like, so... But it's just the fact that you are rewarded from, again, it's the whole thing about it's a typal thing and it has to be assassins, all this other stuff. But you are rewarded for playing the fucking game in copious amounts of treasure tokens that you have no business having. But
well, he's a 6-mana.
It's thematic. It's thematic. It's appropriate. I don't care if he's fucking 5 mana. This man is beating my face in, and he's also taking my gold. Like, I get why. And also, freaking, he's a Edward Kenway is a fucking cool, tragic dude from Assassin's Creed 4. He's also kind of a bit of a putz, but like, fuck me. Like, this dude, like, and anyway, the point I'm trying to get with all of these is that the amount of value that you get out of a fairly low investment is, like, astronomical in proportion to, like, their mana value and stuff. It kills me how easy it is to build around them and get away with it.
I feel like you would feel differently about Edward Kenway in particular if it wasn't because I put him into play for black. If you're hard casting him, I think
someone else did the work and it didn't matter.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah, no, I went up against that deck several times in one night. It's like, listen, if you're playing Grixis Mean Girl colors, that means you have access to haste, whatever tokens, vehicles, all this other shit, right? But when people are just throwing down haymaker after haymaker after haymaker, bashing you in the face, and then being rewarded for it before it's the end of their turn, it's fucked. And then on top of that, they're also being like, oh, I'm also going to take your shit. Like, my removal spell that I needed to get rid of your pirate captain.
That text, yeah.
Yeah,
because I don't have any vehicles in that deck.
There's you only care the first half of the card because you don't run a single goddamn fucking vehicle.
He makes mana and he draws cards.
Yeah, so it's fucked. It's fucked, right? So, yeah.
Man, I love Magic.
And Campbell Profiteering Mayor, they're like, hey, if I give you a token, you'll give me a token back, right? And they're like, cool, I get a treasure token, but at what fucking cost? As they fucking run circles around you. Like, it goes into the whole, what's the Griswold? Griswold's the exact same thing.
I want to like Campbell, but in practice, the card is just the gang loses the game to Smothering Dive. Exactly.
So it's brutal. Now, let's talk about some legends that I really like this year. Annie Flash, shockingly.
Yeah. Surprise.
If you had asked me when Thunder Junction came out what I thought about Annie Flash, and I probably mentioned it, I'm like, this isn't even on my fucking radar in any conceivable way. This card is terrible. It's asking you to play saddle or vehicles, and she's 6 mana. Yes, okay, guess what? In retrospect, she's kind of a Sun Titan, which is great. But now I'm like, hold on,
she buys back your smuggler's copter.
Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. in retrospect, yeah, I think she's got enough stuff on the card to like make her work, even if you just turn her sideways for combat, or even don't even use her to saddle or anything. You just use Amara like there's that Amara, the 2-mana Amara from whatever fucking Ravnica set, where it's like you tap stuff, you make a dude, so like you just put all those effects in to like use her as a resource after she comes out, but she's pretty good. Ivora, Insatiable Hair, blood tokens. That's it. That's the end of the thing. But also a low curve legendary creature that cares about discarding cards and fuels itself with other blood tokens. Yes, that's pretty freaking great. Love that. Agent Frank Horrigan.
Mm-hmm.
Double proliferate, and this dude is indestructible. Like, I don't even care how much mana he is. That dude, first of all, he's a fucking behemoth. I didn't play Fallout.
He feels like a final boss. Like, I keep hearing that he's the final boss of Fallout 2.
He is the
Fallout 2. And then that guy hits the battlefield, and I'm like, oh, fuck. It's real. You know, I understand why he's the final boss now.
Speaking of infect, you know, if you wanted to go that route, but
yeah, that's
just
legal.
The fact that it not only it's on attack, you always know when a creature has the either or kind of thing that do this effect, you know it's going to be crazy in some way.
Titan templating, baby. Let's fucking go. This dude is fucking nuts.
We have Titan appreciators in chat.
As mentioned on Quinn's list, Aurelia the Law Above.
Queen
card. Awesome. Love it. And then, again, hey, Assassin's Creed. Rupton Hecaton. I'm still probably not pronouncing it properly. Some people are like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
You're doing great, sweetie.
But
most people are just going to call him Connor and not even attempt.
Yeah. But in terms of a Esper Legend, which if you had asked me at the beginning of the year if I was going to be playing an Esper equipment deck and enjoying myself, I would have told you were fucking insane.
I would have said Esper equipment. I don't know if that's really an archetype.
Yeah.
But
now here we are.
Here we are, and it fucking works. And also, you know, it's also circumstantially a token deck, but like I've done so much cool stuff with this guy this year.
God,
so many times.
Somebody in one of the chats was like, "Hey, Cole, how well is Not Dead After All worked for you?" And I'm just like barging in like the Kool-Aid man, too fucking well.
It's the fucking, if it's not the Kool-Aid man breaking through the wall, it's the fucking Big Bird fucking knocking the door off its hinges. Like, hey, by the way,
Cole has used this card to great success.
But what if I killed your commander now that it doesn't have hexproof? He comes back and he has hexproof. Fuck! Like,
truly, you have been unprecedented levels of Trixie with that deck. It's been
you can't
cool
kill
to watch
this guy.
That development for you.
He's 3 mana. I'm dodging and weaving and making him, and yeah, no, super fucking cool. Yeah, these legends have been a blast this year for various different reasons. Admittedly, I haven't gotten that much used out of like Aurelia, but everything else I've gotten some reps in with a lot more, and oh boy, they hit. And that's just like, and all of these lists, the good and the hate, the bad and the evil in whatever, right? Like, still, that is the tip of the iceberg of what happened this year in terms of legends. Like you said, John, like you said it was like 312 or something.
Yeah, we got
Something
our
like
first
that.
common legend, and it's deep in like the depths
Yeah.
of the ocean. It's like, and I got to see, there was an episode of MTG Goldfish. They were playing Commander, and each player could only use like commons or mythics or uncommons. And it's like the one option for common is like mono red goblins.
Oh yeah.
That was a great
crazy
great episode. Just seeing that, it's like we got that. And people forget that because I think I scrolled all the way down looking at the Modern Horizons 3 Commander list to try to find my nose, and it's right at the bottom of the list, I believe so. So it's like, aw.
Honestly, like there was a brief kind of discussion about it because it was the only common legendary creature at that point, also referencing a mechanic that hasn't been done and like can't really be replicated in a modern Commander landscape. But they're like, but what if you make comments about it and you can just draft it? You're like, okay, yeah, there we go. It's the perfect it's a goblin. People love goblins, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard it's a pretty
Crazy.
good archetype, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna let's move ahead a bit. I'm gonna skip the Bludrick posting because they usually think it's a way to bring that back later. But let's talk about some decks that we've had this year that either surprised you or ones that ultimately like didn't work out after you thought you were kind of hyped yourself up about it. Quinn, I know for one that you have probably a pretty extensive list of Moxfield lists that have been conceived, deployed, and immediately thrown in the bin. Being like, it's not hitting. It doesn't hit.
Yeah, we do a lot of the brewing thing. I don't have the exact list of that. But there's plenty of concepts that we've like come up with and then tested for 1 or 2 games and then like moved on from. So always be brewing. Just assume that we're always working on something new. I think the big one that I remember like that's forefront in my brain is the mono red Kellen.
Yeah.
Wanted to see what that card did. Didn't do quite enough. Then we found Dragonhawk and was like, okay, this does what I wanted Kellen to do, so we're gonna play that. Dragonhawk saves Christmas.
John, was there anything that you had like, because like you said, you only have 20 decks and you have some pre-cons and stuff on the side, but like, is there anything you conceptualized this year and just didn't work out for you?
So I'm going back to 20 commanders. I'm at this point of like trying to do the great de-sleeving. A couple episodes ago, you had Andy talking about that. It's like I'm kind of in that mindset right now, but I'm always brewing because I'll be on my lunch break because I get an hour lunch break, and I'll just pop up Scryfall, look at a random commander that's kind of been, ping ponging around my head, put it in there, look up certain things, and I'll create a list. So my Scryfall drafts of commander deck list is like a mile long, but a lot of them are just like, like, do I really want to take the initiative on it and try to build it and stuff like that? There's been a couple that have made their way. I think Balin was one of them that made its way into the woodwork. So I like Balin, but I think that's just because I've been looking for a new token commander, because long ago I had a 5-color token kind of deck with Najila. But I was like, took that apart a couple years ago to use the parts for other commander decks. But I was like, I like tokens. I like the populate mechanic from Return to Ravnica and stuff like that. So I was like, but then I saw Balin and I was just like, oh, the more I play, the more this gets even nuttier. So I've been testing out Balin. I don't have an official list out yet. I'll probably finish that up on there. But I've been just kind of like, I actually went through my collection instead of doing my usual now of like, go to Moxfield, or Moxfield and stuff like that. Or not Moxfield, Scryfall, then Moxfield, then look through collection. For Balin, I went through, picked up got the commander, and then just went through my entire collection, scavenged through it, and it's turned out good. And it's been a while since I've done that for a commander, so I'd say from what I played and what I've done, it's definitely came on the positive, and it's probably going to be it's going to stay in the rotation for a bit. Because it's in my colors I like just slamming things down and going on the table and stuff like that. Yeah, and just like going wide, it's great, and I get to play Impact Tremors, and that's a fun card. I love it.
And you get to play War Leader's Call with it too, and that thing's fucking slaps too.
So I think that's been like my most successful. There's like a bunch of things, like I have right now a Ramos list that's kind of kicking in my head because one of my good friends loves sending me in care packages like random cards because she knows, oh, you're going to find something to brew this with or get inspiration. So I can just send you random jank and you'll probably figure it out. And then in this most recent edition of cards, there's some stuff that made me think Ramos. So I'm kind of kicking around a list right now it'll probably stay on the back burner to after the holidays and stuff like that. But that's in the current works and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I've just been like in the mood of like, let me get a pre-con, let me modify it a little bit kind of thing. That's been my vibe lately. There aren't too many commanders I've like built in paper and kind of kept around. It's just been modified precons, which is perfectly fine, which is great. Because if you get tired of that modified precon, take it apart. You got more stuff for your collection to do the next brew. That's an awesome way to build everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken approximately 18 decks apart this year. Probably more.
How many of them were Bloodrick decks?
Yeah, we can't. If anything, there's the slowly growing pile of Bloodrick playable cards that are sitting in its own dedicated section. But yeah, when it comes to like, I probably like any decks that I took apart this year was ultimately it didn't work the way I wanted it to when I first made it, or it just was no longer appealing to me. Like, some of them were from like prior years, so like I don't really count them towards like things that I made this year and took apart. I think I fixed up Death Leaper at the beginning of the year and tried it out, and it just seems, and I'm not the only one, because Andy from Legendary Creature also took apart and Deep Six Death Leaper.
I think that card has such cool rules text, and ultimately just needs to draw cards for the game plan that it wants to have.
And unfortunately, when they made Samut, it's like,
I was like, hey, this is what Death Leaper wants to be doing, so you probably just like play this instead.
Yeah, the whole thing, like one of the things that I really am frustrated with, and I do just kind of have to concede and let it happen, is like, if you don't have some kind of card advantage, whether that's via ramp or card draw or card selection or something in the zone, and not even getting into does your commander combo with something like from like it's a 50% of the combo, like you're ultimately, there has to be something else it's doing that's really appealing for it to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, like, you are just far worse off in comparison to everyone else who are putting those things in the zone. And yeah, like, I love, again, Death Leaper, love the concept, but that thing's going to be a 99 card only moving forward unless there were other things. Like, it's just, I don't know. Why does it, anytime I'm like, God, I wish this didn't have 3 power, which is a weird thing to say, or it had more power for all the green enchantments that care about it, like an increase of power, or it entering the battlefield or whatever.
For your like Garrick's Uprisings and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like it being at 4 mana is kind of awkward, and it having flash and haste and being able to give the whole double strike thing, but then it also cares about when things enter and then being able to attack and getting the double strike, and you're like, but you're not in the right color combination to really bank off of that. Like if there was white or there was something, but like why would this freaking random space monster?
Flash creatures is pretty well supported.
No, like green flash is fine. Like that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is if you wanted to reset it yourself.
Oh, gotcha.
You need like you don't have a proactive Conjurer's Closet on deck that you just fire off and go to combat, right?
You just need to find your Teamer Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Or you can do what the Yisan mages are doing and find the Arbor Elf and like untap a forest and have a Shia so that everything's a forest and jump through 15 hoops.
Okay, yeah. So proving my point.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that needs to go in this fucking bug.
Yeah, you can't just flicker target creature. Fair.
No.
Oh, but you're in red, so you can just shadow clone it.
Sure, but then the shadow clone dies, and you put the original back in the command zone, and then you don't have your Death Leaper out again. You're playing green, sure, but there's a lot of resources being spent, and not a lot of card draw to compensate for all the resources you're spending to have an empty board state at the end of it, you know? That's kind of the way I look at it. I think there's just a lot of too much work, not enough payoff, without having at least an extra color on deck, and that's why like Death Leaper in my Mr. Orfeo deck works way better when you throw out a Ball Lightning. You're like, here's my Ball Lightning with double strike and double its power, please respond, and your opponents are like shit in the bed. Like, that's just kind of how it works.
I run this card in my Sirach deck, and it does work, but again, it's part of the 99, and there's other cards that will set it up, you know.
Gotcha.
I mean, and again, the whole concept of a defensive double striking flash creature, like, that seems pretty cool if you need to be on the blocks, but like, again, It's that push and pull of you want to be proactive, but you're able to be reactive. Maybe in a moment you might need it, but it's just you're never able to capitalize off of it in any meaningful way, and that's why it kind of all falls apart. I gotta some of these I'm actually not even gonna talk about because I'm just gonna bring up my journey with Kellen, the first version, the Fey-blooded. Earlier this year, Cody and Laz over at Brew Review talked about a Boros curses list, which from a fundamental level, I was like, that sounds very fucking cool. It gives me a way to use Kellen's adventure spell in a way that feels still somewhat fair because you have this growing commander cost associated with it. But the cool thing is that if you're able to cast Kellen for the adventure side and then cast him later from his adventure, you're paying him for overall reduced cost while finding curses. The problem was I found, and so the guy who made the deck, Bonsai Entertainment, I don't know his name otherwise, he had gone on Reddit a couple times asking about the concept, and every time people were like, why don't you just kill people about it? Why do you even waste your time doing this, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's like there's always something off about the concept. I went through the list, I made my own version, I tried playing it. There's just something that wasn't hitting because Kellen also asks you to turn him and other creatures sideways by enchanting him or equipping him. So I went back to the drawing board, and somehow out of the Kellen Curses deck being taken apart almost immediately, Annie Flash Curses shows up out of fucking nowhere like a fucking fever dream. Because Light was like, whoa, let's not completely discount Annie Flash. I think there's something here. But I took two completely disconnected threads and said, what if I just put them together and had fun with it? And that's the thing. Annie Flash has no mechanical relation to any of this shit whatsoever.
Yep.
She's like, I'm a 6 mana Nile legend that's a 4/5. You can cast me at any time, and if you do cast me and I enter the battlefield, I'm gonna Sun Titan for you. You're like, cool. So I would that gets you your lands back. That gets you your low mana enchantments, that get your utility creatures back, and all this other stuff. And you're going to be either playing them or pitching them, depending on your card combinations, how I made the list. But the green really does shore up the deck's weaknesses while also giving you the other Enchantress color that you kind of need if you're going to be playing these types of effects. And finally, the curse pool is pretty shallow even when you do add green. It's not, it's not the black centric version. You don't get the tutor, you don't get the damage, punishing for playing creatures and all that other stuff. But you get like the red burn damage versions of your curses.
Maddening Hex is pretty alright.
Maddening Hex just fucking doing way too much. Seriously. But it's the fact that you're like able to put it in this really weird package and still have it make it work. Like, it's not super dissonant. It makes sense. It works. It also just happens to be a fucking control deck. And you're also spending so much mana on this overcosted commander that people don't really give a whole lot of thought to. And yet, every time I've been able to consistently come out from plays that I should not be coming back from, being like, I'm going to bring this thing back from my graveyard at the end of your turn, and now it's time to deploy the plan, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And it's the fact that I've turned her sideways consistently in that deck, and you'd think even for 4 damage, it's not, the 4 damage isn't the big deal, it's the card draw, it's the impulse effects. And what I just found out was like, I'm ramping consistently. I'll get like my Myriad Landscape or whatever, and then bring that back later with Annie Flash, and then use it again, and then you're just casting her for like 10 or 12 mana, which is ridiculous to even think about. Because sometimes you're just like, I'm gonna cast her for that much mana, and it's gonna work because she paid for herself, while also bringing something else back. Like, it's the most bizarre experience. Is with a color combination that I just really could, like, in contrast to you, John, I just don't have a relationship with Naya. I've tried. It just, I'm like, I got Zakama. You're like, cool, Zakama. At some point, I'm like, are we sure Zakama doesn't have blue attached? Because I feel like there's some bullshit here, you know? But this was like the put an underwhelming commander in the command zone with an underwhelming, somewhat underwhelming, but would be an underperforming concept of curses. And then add some Enchantress stuff to it, and put in Taunt from the Rampart and Intimidation Bolt and Take the Bait and Nelly Borka, and be like, damn it, it's a control deck. And win a few freaking games, and it's a good time, and I've had a lot of fun with it. It's probably the one that has been like the most shockingly fun deck. Like, as much as I like my Esper Assassin Equipments deck, and that's on here too, that was just one that surprised me too. Anti-Flash is just through the roof more in comparison. It's wild.
Oh damn, yeah. Shout out to Anti-Flash.
That lady still got it.
She sure do.
So you got some games here, Quinn.
Yeah, I have been playing Dragonhawk Cards on My Desk edition. So you know how we talked about how I wanted to like play a version of Dragonhawk that was like just like less MTGO sweaty and more suited to like normal play, and so we'd like.
You mean the more into the style of Empress Quinn? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we put something like that together. To build it, we slayed the Kiki Jiki list that we had previously. That deck was good. It just got to a point now where it just like didn't feel as good as it did when I built it. And so it was time to deconstruct it and reconstruct it with my new deck building sensibilities and the card choices that I would make in this day and age and all that. Because like it is a deck that's been around for a bit, and the game has changed a bit.
To put it mildly, yeah.
Yeah. So we built that, and it's largely, there's a lot of the same pieces and stuff like that are in there, but we've got some new support cards for it. And we're still just like, we're on our Shadow Clone Jutsu bullshit. We're trying to have ferocious creatures copy the ferocious creatures. We've got Dragonhawk in the command zone to copy, as well as the Red Gear Hulk, the Red Cavalier. We've got the Strionic Resonator to copy those triggers. We've got that Torbrand in the 99. We've got our Feldon so that we can buy back guys that we have yeeted to the graveyard with our Brass's Tunnel Grinder, because that's a new addition to the deck. And gamers, let me tell you, that card fucking owns, actually. You will draw your cards. If you're in mono red, you can put that in both the card draw and the ramp section, as long as you have the
when it flips over to the land side. Yeah,
if you've got the looting effects and stuff to support that, just fucking make it happen. They don't care how the permanent card gets to your graveyard as long as it gets to the graveyard. So if you're on shenanigans and you dredge one and you mill a land or something, that counts for descend. If you've got a faithless looting and you discard the combustible Gear Hulk that you intend to reanimate with Feldon, that counts. So take a look at those. If you've got that to support it, play your fucking Brass's Tunnel Grinder. The Teculon, the Searing Rift, when you cast a spell, if it's a permanent, you discover X, where X is that card's mana value.
The few times I've gotten that effect off in Odric Blood Cursed has been obscenely busted for its value. Like, I'm mana positive. Draw. I'm mana positive and I'm casting 2 spells. Like, jeez, like, holy shit.
It's extremely cool and good to cast things like Valakut Awakening or Brass's Tunnel Grinder off of Discover effects, because then you didn't have to spend the card from your hand to get the effect that they usually balance around you having spent the card from your hand. And so you get to see more card per card, and all of that feels extremely good. Another thing that I'm on that feels like you can do it, like, not feels like, you literally can use it in any color, but it feels especially effective in this red deck, is the Doll Maker's Shop. No, the fucking...
Oh, fucking what? What? You know, the Magic
doll-
the Gathering card, the Ball Maker.
God damn it.
What?
No, it's the artifact. Dollhouse of Horrors. There we go. I'm just like,
Oh,
this is
okay.
a card that I remember from Innistrad, except it feels extremely Duskmourn. So I'm like, what is that doll-related card from Duskmourn? Okay, yeah, there's the Dollmaker shop. No, that doesn't work.
That's not
and then
what
it's
I'm
like,
looking
what is
for.
that fucking card? No, it's Dollhouse of Horrors. So it's that 5-mana
The
artifact.
Ballmaker.
You spend 1 and tap it to exile a creature card from your graveyard to make a token that's a copy of the exiled card, except it's a 0/0 construct artifact in addition to its other types, and has this creature gets +1/+1 for each construct you control, and it gains haste until end of turn. So it's just another enabler of the Shadow Clone Jutsu game plan, and kind of another copy of Feldon. If you're into the enter the battlefield effects, this will give you another way to get those. And if you're an Urza's Saga gamer, those are constructs. These are constructs. The number go up.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Urzatron. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Urza's Saga.
Yeah. No. I'm talking Karnstructs. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
There you go.
Okay, we got there.
So yeah, just like take a look at Dollhouse of Horrors if you're a red mage. I think that the recursion is a thing that you don't normally have access to, and so when you get access to it, it feels really good. Card draw in the zone feels really good, like we were talking about, Cole.
Unfortunately, for better or worse, if you don't have some form of card draw in the zone, you got one arm tied behind your fucking back.
Yeah, so Dragonhawk wants you to have ferocious creatures, and she'll show you more cards per ferocious creature that you have. She herself is one, so you exile the top card when she enters. And I really like to just have a bunch of those and have multiple Dragonhawk triggers. So I've got like 3 ferocious creatures, and I'm getting this enter the battlefield trigger twice because I hit the tuning fork. And I've got Torbrand, so like each of these distinct triggers is getting +2 damage, and all of that feels like really favorable math for the red mage.
I do love burning faces. So this seems like absolutely face melting technology here.
Yeah, I actually just like appreciation post for Strionic Resonator. I hadn't played that card in quite some time, and then started playing it for this deck because in paper I have one of these and I didn't have a Roaming Throne. We have the Roaming Throne.
Here's the next best thing
because that card is extremely effective. It's a ferocious creature. It doubles both of the Dragonhawk triggers if we name Dragon, and we usually do. So it's just extremely fucked. But yeah, the next best thing for copying those triggers is this Strionic Resonator, and it's been extremely effective for what I want from it. So I might add that to the MTGO version because having more ways to fork those effects is good.
Yeah, that seems awesome.
So yeah, that's the cards on my desk, Dragonhawk.
It saved Christmas.
It
Look,
really did save Christmas.
When we were playing our mono red game last night, I was like, damn, I really do need to get Dragonhawk because I just took 4 to the face from just it attacking me.
You take
but then
5.
I also
it's
took
a
6.
5/5.
But then I also so I took 5 and then I took 6 damage on top of it just for being attacked. So it was like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up. I thought I was so hype about my Leyline of Resonance turn 0 play, and then I got to double Chandra's Ignition everyone for 14.
That was sick as fuck.
Yeah, it was great. And then I fucking died.
Yep.
Because we're playing mono red and we had to go to the fuck bed.
That was extremely funny to come through with the opportunistic dragon. I think that is like a theme booster exclusive from Eldraine.
Yeah, it is. It is like,
it's like not like in the normal set, I think, but that guy's pretty neat.
I love randomly stealing humans and turning them off. That's a really weird sentence. Don't take that out of context.
Lol and Lamau. Oh, maybe he's a regular set guy. Okay, sweet.
Well, because it was a heavy human theme because of the whole, like...
Yeah, knights and stuff.
Yeah, so, like, it checks out.
Yeah, I didn't see very much of this dragon around then. I don't think I see it
Well,
very
no,
much.
because, like, why would you? It's just, like, a it's otherwise just like a vanilla. Well, I say a vanilla dragon, but it's otherwise
Yeah.
just like a 4-mana 4/3 with flying. Like
It's actually fine. It enters the battlefield and it is removal, basically.
it basically, yeah.
Do you like O-ring
You-
gamers? This is
you
basically a
O-ring-
red O-ring that you can hit
If you
people
O-ring
with.
a human, which human is a pretty common creature type, so like you know,
Yeah, you know who's a human? Captain Ripley Vance, and she got fucking yoinked and all of her abilities nerfed. And Cole
good-
had
it's
to
a good
spend
thing I yoinked-
removal on my dragon.
good thing I yoinked her back because it was.
I was
yeah,
surprised
no.
that you didn't hit me after that because she has the lava spur boots on. She had haste.
Oh fuck! Oh well, I was also like hammered.
Yeah, that's fair.
I also might have smoked some weed that night, so I was probably even more fucking zooted than normal.
Extremely turned.
Like, I was playing, like, trust me when I say, I was consciously playing that game. I remember everything that was happening. Were some sequencing and some of the other stuff that was happening proper? No, especially when I forgot that she had haste and could go for the crackback. But I think I had stars in my eyes for the hypothetical Chandra's ignition and all that other shit. And be like, but what if I do this though? But yeah, no, it was still a fun game.
Yeah, good times.
I guess I'll talk about Audric Bloodcurst.
Yeah, it's time for that guy.
So obviously anyone who knows me knows at this point that Audric Bloodcurst is my iconic forever deck at this point. Like, this thing has been a labor of every conceivable measure for the last 3 years. This deck is now 3 years since we hit November, I think, because that's when Crimson Vow came out. And John and I have like also gone back and forth and talked about like how we've gone and foiled and blinged the shit out of our decks, and he's like, here's my Karametra, and I'm like, oh man, Karametra's sick. Here's my Audric Bloodcurst. Night and day fucking comparison in terms of like what we get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Cole, just a brief thing. Because your postal system is borked a little bit right now, and I've been trying to get this to you, but I'm saving it until everything's good. I've had this. I have a graded Bloodrick in my hands, and I've been meaning to get this to you.
Bro!
Holy
It's
shit.
not foil. It's just a regular graded. It's the one of the alternate borders of it.
Well, shit.
I have a graded slab right here of Bloodrick.
Oh,
Right.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get it to you, and it's been sitting on my shelf because I'm like, I keep
mean,
thinking about
so-
it, but then it slips my mind, and now I'm like, well, I can't send it right now.
Well, I mean, Canada Post got forced back to work
Okay.
within the last week, so we're slowly coming back. I would still recommend waiting on that, but holy
Yeah.
shit, thank you very much.
yeah, yeah, it's a grade 9, not a 10,
Nice.
but it's still a graded one. 2021, by the way, when it came out.
Yeah, so, damn, yeah, that's crazy. Holy shit. Well,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool as hell. A unique
Yeah.
piece of bling for
who needs
the
fucking artist
Bloodrick
proofs
guy.
who needs artist proofs when you can have fucking slabbed fucking Audric's showing up in your mailbox? It's fucking awesome.
I literally have graded, not artist proofs of Karametra and Johnny in the background right now.
Oh yeah, no,
Yes.
I-
signed and artist proofed and all that stuff.
I really wish
Um,
that they would do artist proofs for some of the Universes Beyond stuff because I don't think I can get an Ezio artist proof because of the like
No.
agreements or whatever. But it'd be so sick if I could.
it would be so cool. I guess the next best thing would just be getting the signature from the artist, but
Yeah.
you know, we take what we can get around here. Life as a Magic player is hard enough as it is.
So true, bestie.
But
Back to Audric
So,
posting.
back to Bloodrick posting. So Audric Bloodcurst has changed a lot over just this last year alone. I did not get the checklist of what was added and removed like I did with like one of the last updates, but just even taking into consideration what came out this year alone, there has been a significant amount of changes to this deck. But if there's one thing or one word that could describe the bulk of the updates or the core fundamental parts of the updates, is just simply utility. There have been so many low mana value spells that either I was not expecting or wouldn't have even thought about having in the deck unless it came out in that specific permutation, right? Untimely Malfunction is just your Swiss Army knife of everything you could ever need for a red X deck, and this fucking fits perfectly into it. Parting Gust being a flicker effect or a removal spell on a non-token creature, which is something that I still fucking can't quite get over, because I'm like, I gotta get rid of this giant 2020 fucking token. They're like, you can't. I'm like, fuck!
What can you do?
Starfall Invocation being a board wipe in some way for you to bring back a creature, meaning you get your ETB triggers back and all this other stuff. Like, you get to keep the momentum. Getaway Glamour being, again, a flicker spell, and depending on the power of the target, a removal spell. Like, there's just more card per card, which is great, you know? And just new creatures of lower mana value that just happen to fit into the context of the deck in ways that just, like, Senu Keen-Eyed Protector was one of those cards that, from an overview, if you're like, well, it's a 2-mana 2/1 bird with flying and vigilance.
Everybody else looking at that card was like, I sleep. Cole looking at that card, real shit? Bloodred playable?
This is
zooming
obscene.
in, computer enhance.
The other thing too is like, it's the fact that Senu can come back even if it's just circumstantially exiled by something else, you know, from your own effect.
Yeah, you're like exiling cards to impulse draw, and you're like, Senu, I need you, but not right now. And then you literally can just like, I'll see you later.
Stuff like Razorkin Needlehead being such like an anti-meta card in Modern Commander, but also for those greedy card draw enthusiasts like Mr. Fizzyfits and all that other stuff.
If you play with card draw mages, then playing a Razorkin Needlehead can be an effective hate card.
And just sort of, yeah, like this year, just in general, there's just been a lot of really cool stuff. The $20 I spent on Ocelot Pride was the best $20 I've spent on a fucking Magic card. The stonks are fucking real.
I bet, yeah.
And it's just, yeah, utility. Like, I thought Lost Caverns of Ixalan was incredibly generous to this deck, and it was. It really was. But also, the rest of this year, just overall in general, like, there are some things that have come and gone. I had a lot more Fallout cards in here. I've taken some of them out. Modern Horizons 3, not that really big of a hit, but we start getting utility stuff in the mana base, like Monumental Henge, as a way for you to start digging for historic stuff, which surprisingly I have a lot of historic stuff in here. And God, Fomori Vault.
Man, that card has been responsible for so many moments this year.
I don't know how many times where I'm like, Heart of the Cards, aka Scry 10, because I have 10 blood tokens out that I'm not using otherwise, and people are like, no, wait, you can't do that. I'm like, fucking blow up my blood tokens about it. I don't know.
Yep.
And just the fact that, like, we got utility stuff like Murders at Karlov Manor, Fallout with, like, Pre-War Formal, where we got Wojak Investigator, Craig Boone, Celestial Armor coming out in Foundations, which seems like a freaking windmill slam addition to this, being keywords and protection and evasion all built in one. It's just been obscene this year. The deck, if I could go back and see if I could replicate what the deck looked like at the end of last year to this year, it's a night and day difference. And that's not even getting into all the changes that have occurred within the last 3 years. This deck continues to be a labor of love. And I'm hoping that that as much as I'm excited to see what's coming up in 2024, you know, maybe get a Final Fantasy card. 2025. Fuck. Yeah. I hope they slow the roll a bit, because if they hit
Absolutely not. You're gonna have to add 4 Cloud Strives to your deck. I'm so sorry.
I really want to play Zach Flare and Lightning so bad. Like,
Thank you.
Please,
oh yeah, dude.
Please,
fuck yeah.
Any of the games with Zach, Core Crisis, and when I played the remake on Xbox,
yeah, Crisis Core and the
Crisis
whole
Core,
works.
Yeah. I fell in love quickly with Zach Flare, and I'm like, please let me play him.
Listen, that this is super duper fucking spoilers for the Final Fantasy Rebirth. But there is a brief moment where Zack and Cloud are back to back, and depending on what you equip Cloud with, he could still have the Buster Sword. So they both have the Buster Sword back to back against Sephiroth. And I'm like,
Your Honor.
I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. This shit is sick.
It's like
It's so cool.
pull out their swords and gun, jackpot.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
just some real Dante DMC.
Yeah.
Just like and then the fact, oh god, tangent time. We're already getting Magali artwork of Sephiroth
Bro,
and
it's a
Cloud.
panorama.
The panorama is sick.
That piece is, oh,
Like,
thank you.
so it's the fact that it's their Rebirth designs, it's the Remake and Rebirth designs, it's at the end of Remake, it's them facing each other, like, it's so, and of course the fact that even she's like, I've been waiting to draw this shit for like 20 fucking years or whatever, and you're just like, so you
I'm
got
also huge fingers crossed that Justine Jones gets to do a showcase piece of a card or something, because you look at her art, it is very clear that Homegirl looks upon Amano and like draws inspiration from that.
oh
And
yeah,
I want
like,
to see what she would do with like actual Final Fantasy character designs.
could you, we gotta be getting Amano artwork.
Oh yeah,
treatments.
If we don't, we're getting fucking like there's no justice.
Yeah, like, how can you,
What is the point of a Final Fantasy set if you don't give me
come
more
on,
mono
Square.
art?
Square, you are shaking hands with Wizards of the Coast. You know what that handshake also brings to the table? Sick ass fucking artwork. We need the classics. We need this shit, you know?
I am excited. I really do want, I know probably Lightning will be in this set, but I'm like, I really liked Final Fantasy 13. It's very fun, and I'm like, let's get Lightning back in here. More respect for Lightning.
More
Because 13
No.
got...
I need her Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns version with the tasteful side boob.
Because 13 got a, like, hit on big time, and then all that stuff, and then I'm like, I went back to play them years later, I'm like, oh, these are very fun and fine. I like them.
I just think probably one of the things that can be this is such a huge tangent from being like
It's
bludgeon
our
posting.
fucking show, whatever.
Listen, if I get Cloud Strife to be able to put in this deck, and then Spider-Man also happens to be Boros when Marvel comes out, like, who fucking cares? They
Bro, you're gonna
keywords
be
that are-
checking keywords, and you'll be like, "All right, Spider-Man has haste
Neuron
and
activation,
flying
Peter Parker's
during
in
my
the deck."
turn."
He's got reach, and I don't fucking know, whatever. But the point being, in this case, is like, Final Fantasy in the modern day is obviously so different than when it was in the earlier versions, right? Like, when we hit Final Fantasy 6, we have a Magitech. It's all Magitech. Who gives a shit? It's just machinery and everything, but there's a heavy focus on, like, industrial evolution and mechs and all this other stuff. And then we hit Final Fantasy 7, and it's eco-terrorism. And then you go on and on and on, and then you go to Final Fantasy 15. You're like, this Korean boy band goes on a road trip, and then they have to save the world.
There's
you
a
know,
car.
there's a car.
The boys are back in town, and they got to defeat the evil.
The boys are back in town, and they have PTSD. There was supposed to be a nice trip with the boys, and instead they see the horrors. Or actually can't see anymore in one person's case. And then we hit Final Fantasy 16, which is sort of this, like, back down to classic fantasy, but you only play as one character, but fucking Clive is sick as fuck, though, so, like, it doesn't matter. But, like, the thing is, right, regardless of does Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy feel similar enough to fit together? And in this case, I would argue yes.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I definitely
I
think
don't care. Magic's
Okay,
rule
cool.
set will be cool if they
Got it.
care, and they do.
and they do care, so, like, we're already in for a treat. But it's also the fact that it's like, the I do want to see how the Sephiroth versus Cloud players like face off. How do they mechanically reflect each other in some way, or are they still unique enough where they don't
Bring back the dual deck.
You know,
Or legendary sword that gives the thing +7 power because it's fucking huge.
Yeah, like, you know, just we're in for a treat. And obviously for me, my first process for all of these will be Scryfall search, red, white, keyword equal, less than equal to 3, hit enter, go. If anything comes up, great. And then you filter it down more into like, what about the utility stuff? And you're like, well, cool. The heroes are in these colors. I guess this is the Audric Bloodcursed Final Fantasy hour now. I will now be... Can Audric Bloodcursed be the... what's his name from Final Fantasy X? Arian? Or... I can't remember. The eye patch sword guy.
I've only ever gotten like 3 or so hours into Final Fantasy X.
I need Audric to be the cool, like, later game ally that shows up who's super cool, badass, and with cursed powers, but he's undeniably a cool guy. And you know what? That's what we need. In Magic Story moving forward, when we hit Edge of Eternity, we need the Guardians of the Galaxy team to be made up of all these characters from across the multiverse, and Audric's on that fucking team.
Yeah, okay. I'm in. I want to see that.
That's all I'm asking for. That's all I want.
I'm so hyped to see what's up with Edge of Eternity. Tezzeret with his new Darksteel body looking extremely fresh. The backing of that art also looked fucking incredible.
Space whale.
Space whale.
Neuron activation, space whale. That's
Truly. Show me a space whale, neurons activate. That's all I need. And with fucking Final Fantasy, give me the lunar whale. Space whale.
We're in for a treat. But yeah, damn, Audric Bloodcurse has been places and still going places, and people still love the deck. And I also got the aesthetic seal of approval from Andy the other day, because we were showing deck sleeves and deck boxes and commanders and everything, and some people were like, "Oh, this is what I got," and he's like, "Where's the aesthetic? Where is it?" And then I'm like, "Check this shit out." He's like, "Silver and gold, fucking primo shit."
Aesthetic.
It's good. All right. I think we got one more and then we end it.
Yeah. Speaking of seeing the light of Avacyn, and a similar concept, gamers, I feel like they don't see the light of Avacyn with respect to the 20 ways to win Secret Lair Precon. A lot of y'all out there are describing this as just like a fucking pile of cards. There's no synergy. It doesn't work together at all. And I'm just like, do you not understand that these Secret Lair precons are like, that's somebody's deck and they pilot that, and so they have play experience and they know that it works?
Yeah, they didn't just make they didn't hit and
faith.
It's like Gavin's coin flip deck. I actually played against that deck against Gavin once. I know what it's like. It's like, this was back when Battleborn first came out and stuff like that. But I'm like, I know what that deck does. When that came out as a Secret Lair, I'm like, oh, nice.
And yeah, we're just like, okay, that's gonna be fucking sick.
Yeah.
And like this one, you just like, there's I think Daniel Holt was the main designer for this, and I'm just like, this is like his deck, and there's obviously like, he's got a game plan, and all of the pieces work together to further that game plan, even if it's in ways that you don't expect. And so I've been wanting to, I guess, just like play that out there and prove a point, and ensure that I see the light of Avacyn for this deck. And so I played one game where I just fucking cast Mana Gorgers, because there's like 3 or so effects that are like that. You have the Taurian Mauler, you've got Mana Gorger Hydra, you've got Forgotten Ancient, Sunscorch Regent. Okay, 4 Mana Gorgers.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Hell yeah, let's go.
I love me a good Mana Gorger, or as I call them, George.
Yep. So I played one game where I've got like 3 Georges in play and I'm just hiding behind these guys. I cast Approach of the Second Sun and then we tuck that 7 cards deep and I'm like, the clock is fucking ticking, answer my threat. But you can't because I'm stacked behind these mana gorgers. What are you gonna do against that? And so on somebody's end step, I tap all this mana, I cast a Sphinx's Revelation to put me up where I needed to be to draw that card for my turn, and then I cast Approach and win the game. Check, achievement unlocked.
There we go. Done and done.
I played another game that was 4 people playing the 20 Ways to Win Precon just to see what the fuck happens when
That was with Jen and Donnie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all are, there was me, Jen, Donnie, and Mr. Bevers. So we're all playing that deck. I get just so fucking close to the win with the Felidar Sovereign. I'm like, again, hiding behind Mana Gorger Hydras. I've got the Helix Pinnacle that I'm just gradually ticking up to draw heat away from anything else that's going on. And I'm setting up this position where I can cast this guy and then go to my turn and untap with my board state relatively unfucked with. Except fucking Bevers draws into a board wipe and Revel in Riches and has that on the field and destroys all of the creatures, all of my hard work undone. I think it was the Wandering Emperor, so he leaves everybody with 1 creature with the -4 ability of her. He picks the creature and then you have to sacrifice the rest. So if you have anything that's like indestructible, you're not getting around that, is truly ruinous. And so then we're left on a board state where he's got enough treasures to win the game with his Revel in Riches. And we're just like, well, shit. I don't have anything to say to that. GG's.
Wow, it's like the deck with 20 win cons has about 20 ways to win the game against other people.
It's wild. And so yeah, I just would like for gamers to consider that there is somebody who is playing that deck and believes in it, and maybe believe in them that believes in their deck, if that makes sense.
Believe in me and who believes in you, who believes in the One Piece or something.
Exactly. It's like that one anime. Just try and see the fucking light of Avacyn, dude.
Yeah.
Looking at the deck list, it is sick. It's one of those things I'm kind of wish I got it. Because I'm like, these are just so many cards that I'm like, oh yeah, these are so mean. So that Approach of the Second Sun, just alone, I'm like, I want to get that single. It's a card that I've always flickered around with Karametra on and off and on and off. And I'm like, just for that artwork, I would put it back in Karametra again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When it comes to these decks, here's the thing, right? Because we had the coin flip deck, we had the angel deck, we have this one. Was there other?
I think those are only those 3 right now. Just those 3.
The cats and dogs and angels.
There we go. Yeah, cats. Okay, yeah. So, there's any person can make these decks, right? You don't need to get you don't need to buy these to make the deck. You can just buy the cards to make the deck individually, But someone thought this was a good enough idea to get it to ship, because the premise of 20 win cons is kind of freaking nuts.
It is extremely funny. Somebody sits down and they're like, this is my alternate win conditions deck. We have 20 different cards that say win the game. Or I guess 18.
And that doesn't appeal to me as a deck concept, and obviously that's why I didn't get it, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's someone thought it was a good enough idea, they printed it and shipped it, and people bought it, because people, I'm sure, it's not just about it's more than just the premise. You can hook people with a premise, no problem, and people might still hate the dang thing, but it's a fun experience to bring to the table, because maybe you could argue it adds another level of tension of being how the fuck is this person going to win the game, because they can do it from so many different angles, and the only thing that could probably make this deck better is a coalition victory or something. And but oh wait, that shit's fucking banned.
Yeah, relax.
And I don't know, I feel as if people don't have enough whimsy or whatever, because we're so focused on we need to make sure this deck is hyper efficient, and we need to trim the fat, and we need a consistent game plan, and all this other stuff. It's like, sometimes you could just literally throw a pile of cards together and just see what fucking works, and let it take you on the journey, you know? Like, most of the games that I've enjoyed are the ones where you have the levity and the breathing room to, like, enjoy the experience overall and be like, damn, that was crazy. Dang, I didn't know the card could do that. I don't know how many times people are playing not super top of the line performance card decks. Like, they're like, yeah, this is my souped up Lamborghini. I don't fucking give a shit. Who cares? Where's the fun, goofy stuff? And I don't mean the silver board or whatever. That's not my thing. But I mean, where's the really weird stuff that was printed in 2005 that happens to be incredibly synergistic with this random legend that I've never seen in my life, and we're having fun and learning from that, you know? Like, that is way more... And like, people's being like, here's my 20 win cons, please answer, please respond, you know? Like, that is an interesting puzzle in itself to be like, what are the resources I need to deny my opponent if I've got to blow up or counter their approach to Second Sun, or get rid of their Faladar Sovereign, but then you spend too much resources blowing up the win cons you're aware about, and they sweep it up with another one, you know? Like,
yeah, like
that
I
is
had
a
the
novel...
fucking Triskaidekaphile on board, so I'm just like, I draw a bunch of cards with the Sphinx's Rev. This puts me very close to 13 cards in hand. Also, there's this approach down here, so how are you going to deal with both of these?
Yeah, so like, that is a puzzle in itself that is worth the experience to play with or against that deck, you know? So it has merit to it.
I love how there's a Mael's Aria in this deck. That's gorgeous.
Yeah!
That's a card that you always look like from the Alara block, and you're like, yeah, that's definitely like a nice build around card for that win con, and I've thrown that in a couple Naya decks before, and it's fun.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like you said, Quinn, the people do not see the light of Avacyn, and it's pretty... Even to me, that's incredibly disappointing. And I'd probably be one of... You know, like, I don't know. It's like, it's the most non-offensive thing, and people have fun with it because of all these weirdly weird dissonant cards that come together, and they're like, cool, let's put not Kyodai, fucking Go Shintai on top of it. Which is already another card that's like,
people
you know...
are like, why is Go Shintai the commander? It doesn't have any shrines. There's nothing it does. And I'm just like...
I'm sorry, do you want Child of Alara to be the commander? Like, what do you want?
All of the things that win you the game that are on board are based on permanence, it looks like here. So maybe it's cool to have a Wooberg button that buys your permanent-based win condition back from the graveyard. Like, maybe recursion in the command zone is cool. Just fucking... try and play the deck, basically.
Yeah.
Pull up a Moxfield playtester with the list and like see perhaps in action how the cards are working together to form your judgment of it, because there's just like a lot of synergy and stuff that like you're not seeing unless you do actually put the cards together.
It's also a jumping off point, like with most of these decks. It's like someone did sit down and it is a representation of their deck, you know? They just happen to hit enter, lock it the fuck in, this is the version of the deck, and then like 6 months later when they finally ship it, the person's like, well, I swapped these cards out, but that's for me to know and them to find out.
Yeah, because like sometimes there's new cards that get printed after they ship a thing. You know, like, well,
it is a snapshot of someone's commander deck as it was at that time, and it's an interesting premise, and it creates an interesting dynamic with the table. And it doesn't mean it's all about leaning so hard into the win cons that you guarantee win and tutor and blah, 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 right? Like, I don't know. It works for my brain. It should work for yours. And if it doesn't appeal to you, you don't have to yap about it. You just be shush. Shush.
Yeah. Let people enjoy their magic.
Until it's me. In this case, if I'm being personally offended by it, I will have complaints.
Editor, hit the this dude devoid of whimsy .wave. This dude devoid of whimsy. Thanks.
Can I cast Mana Tithe on Cole, please?
Get his ass.
I might have mana for it, but I appreciate the attempt.
Yeah, he's got a treasure token up.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. We are at least. Might have to trim it a bit, but we are now over 3 hours, at least as of the time of the recording that I'm looking at the bar here. John, you look like you're freaking fading away a little bit. So,
The black tea's helping a little bit, but oh boy.
all right, let's wrap it up. John, thank you for coming on to this episode.
Yeah, pleasure. I've always like, hey, Cole, whenever you have a chance, I know it's like you have all these great content creators come in. It's like, hey, whenever you can slot me in.
Just remember, you'll now have to wait 9 months to show up again.
That's fair. Just put me on a suspend counter, please.
Yeah. And John, you want to shill yourself a bit, see where we can find you?
Yeah, so currently, as of the Great Migration, I'm only on Blue Sky now. So you can find me at my Blue Sky handle is Darkhawkeye 39. That's primarily where I post these days. I might also have Cole link my Moxfield page.
Oh yeah.
So that way you guys can check out all the decks that I'm updating, because I'm always thinking of something, like either it's one of my drafts on my Scryfall thing, and I might just throw it up there and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely check out my Moxfield page in the description below if you want to check out any of my decks.
We can do that. Oh, did we lose Quinn?
I think we lost Quinn.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties at the end of it, so we'll maybe just use this as a placeholder to wrap it up. Find Quinn and I on our socials, Uncommon CMDR MTG for me on both websites of Blue Sky and Twitter, but honestly not really on Twitter anymore. Girl Deck Energy for Quinn. Find us on the MTG Lexicon on Saturday nights where we're playing Commander. We are trying to get some monetary help for Fitz this Christmas, so please look into that. Thank you if you have. More details to come once we get some more info about it. Other than that, I guess that's it, everyone. Later, gamers.